I've said on the show before, I've told you all before, your boy is a partaker, an imbiber, a bit of a drinker, like casually.
No.
Like a light drink, like a light drinker,
So you wouldn't call yourself an expert if I just threw names out. You would say, "Yeah, I've had that.
No, I definitely wouldn't.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's
I would have to look the names up, but I mean, I could do that.
If it's drinkable, I've drank it. Okay. And that's not, I'm an intelligent imbiber, but an imbiber nonetheless. And I can tell you all that I have had some expensive beverages in my lifetime. 99% of them paid for by not me. Ordinarily, I'm drinking with one of my more successful friends, as most of them are.
I'm sure when you were drinking with Jera, you probably...
Jerry Jones. Nope. Jerry Jones, and this is also true, bought me pretty much the cheapest thing you can buy at a bar. He just went Jack and Diet Coke. Everybody drinking with Jera got a Jack and Diet. So, that being said, earlier at that dinner, when he and Sean Payton were getting into a big you-know-what contest, they were ordering bottles of wine that cost more than my yearly salary. That's not a joke. I heard and saw the prices.
Hey, good on you for not trying to get in that competition.
Bro.
You talk about being a smart drinker. That's being a smart one going, yeah, I'm not in this.
I would have had to have worked for the Cowboys for a year for free in order to afford that, my man. Like, wouldn't have worked. Anyway, I've had some expensive beverages. I have had bottles of wine that cost my salary. I have had glasses of scotch that are a monthly paycheck for me. And again, ordinarily, it's because in this industry, I've been very fortunate to be placed into some fortuitous situations. Yesterday, David Tepper ended up purchasing the most expensive drink that I have ever heard of, a $300,000 glass of whatever it was that he threw on that dude. The NFL came down with a fine of $300,000 on Dave Tepper for the drink that he threw on a Jacksonville Jaguars fan during the Panthers game on the road this past Sunday. And let me just say that I don't know what price you have to pay in order to not be an embarrassment when you do an embarrassing thing. But I know now that it is more than $300,000 because David Tepper still looks like an absolute clown. I have, for the 4 years now, coming up in March will be 4 years I've been here. For the 4 years that I have been here, I have thought to myself, everybody's got to learn the ropes. Anytime any of us get a new job, you got to learn the ropes, right? It might even, when I got here, I had been in the radio game for roughly 13 and a half years. And so I know how to do a radio, but I had to learn how you do a radio here. I had to learn the ropes about this station and about the people I work with and about the routines and the protocols and the systems that Odyssey has in place, that Odyssey Carolina has in place, that Odyssey Greenville has in place, that the Fan Upstate have in place, that Diesel had in place, that Lonzo had in place, that Mark Ryan had in place. And I had to learn the ropes to fit in. And for a while, I've been saying, maybe Tep just needs some time to learn the ropes. Maybe he just needs some time to figure out how to be an owner. Now, he had been an owner before, granted, a minority owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had been in the game before, but I compare that to me. Because if there's one thing I'm going to do is compare myself to a billionaire NFL owner, not a ton of difference. I had been in the game for a while before I came here. Now, The majority of my time was working for two different mom and pop radio station organizations, locally owned, small town stations. Not small town. We covered from Panama City to Mobile, Alabama, and then in Jacksonville.
America.
So I had been a radio show host, albeit not for a company whose stock symbol shows up on the New York Stock Exchange, right? So I said, you got to give him some time. He's got to learn the ropes. He's got to get it. He's got to understand. He is still technically relatively new to the game. Tep had only been in charge of the Panthers, like a year and a half when I got here?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, give him time. Got to learn the ropes. However, this thing, I got to thinking about it yesterday when I got home. There is an old expression, Lonzo, that I very much appreciate, and I've appreciated it more the older I've gotten. And that expression is, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them, right? I think all of us have to learn this lesson the hard way at some point. Somebody does something that's really jacked up, and then you go, oh, they made a mistake, forgive and forget, and then they do the jacked up thing again. And then some of us are, and this is true about me, idiots. And we go, oh, you know what? They made contrition. They feel bad. They made a mistake. I'm going to give them another chance. And then they do
so
the thing
you're
again.
an idiot if you show empathy, sympathy, or you're forgiving.
You're an idiot if you allow yourself to repeatedly be taken advantage of by someone who is clearly willing to do it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And that's me. That's me. I've done it. I've done it in my business life. I've done it in my romantic life.
You mean you've taken advantage?
No,
you meant the opposite.
I have given second chances and third second chances to people who clearly demonstrated that they were not worthy. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. And while this drink throwing thing, I absolutely would like to say was a moment in poor judgment.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. Out of all the owners that we know, there are a bunch of owners out there. I have no idea who they are. There's a handful of NFL owners and NBA owners and baseball owners that we know who they are because they're usually controversial or something like that. We know who Tepper is because we follow him and because he starts things, and then like in South Carolina, like with the headquarters, and then just pulls the plug. He does a bunch of things like this. Out of all the owners, this is the guy who I'm not surprised did this. After the "you need to come out of your basement" comment and all that kind of stuff, and the way he carries himself, when it happened, I was like, yeah, okay.
And that's kind of what I'm driving at here.
I wonder if this is the first time he's done that, because I don't think so. He's pretty skilled at it, and that takes practice.
Well, here's the thought that I had yesterday when I got to spinning this around in the old noodle just a little bit. I went back to training camp, or not training camp. What was it? Week 3, which was, I think, 7 years ago. I went back to week 3 or 4 or whatever it was.
It was early in the season.
Very early in the season. When people like us were beginning to express our concern about the Carolina Panther football program. And somebody expressed their concern very publicly. And David Tepper, in a moment that Lonzo just highlighted mere seconds ago, said that he was not going to take criticism from people who were living in their mom's basement, and said that you need to come up for air and touch grass. I need to see if we can go back and find that clip. Now, at the time, Lonzo and I had some things to say about it, but I think we all just kind of went, This guy's a billionaire. He has zero connection with the real world. He's got zero connection with the blue-collar dudes and dudettes who fork over a couple hundies to go see his team play, and he doesn't realize that for a lot of people, that's like an occasion. That's an event. That's something you got to save up for. That's something you put on the calendar a few weeks or a few months out. And you go, I got to save a little extra cash in August so I can go see the Cats play in September. To him, that's just a thing. And I feel like maybe, just maybe, I feel like maybe, just maybe, Dave Tepper told us who he was in that moment, and we didn't listen. We didn't believe him, right? Now, the reason that I am bringing this up, the reason I talk about this, the reason this is something that I wanted to chat about is because this drink toss thing, I think, while it is one isolated moment, it is the most recent moment in a string of clear, hard-headed, stubborn, temper-filled moments out of Dave Tepper. Now, we haven't necessarily seen Dave Tepper do stuff in the past. Alonzo, correct any of this if I'm wrong. We haven't really seen Dave Tepper do a lot of stuff in the past that I would go, that's the mark of a man with a temper problem. But this was. And then when I compare that to, hey, Dave, what do you have to say to all the people out there who say your team's not good and you need to deal with it? And Tepper's response was,
go outside, nerd.
I think that is the mark of somebody who does not get it. And the problem to me is if you can't handle fan interactions, if you can't handle the fan of an opposing team going, ha ha, your team sucks, bro.
He looks like that type of guy that would just get mad at the drop of a hat. He looks like the guy who lives at the end of the street. You walk really quick by his house because he's going to be sitting on the front porch and say something to you. Doesn't he look like that guy?
He looks like the dude that is going to call the cops because you turned around in his driveway, right? He looks like the dude that's going to get mad because you turned on the lawnmower while he's trying to have breakfast, right? That's what he seems like. And now, here's where I'm driving with this ultimately. Now I see this moment. I see this moment in his life. I see this moment where all this is going down. And all of the sudden, all of these stories that we have heard, all of these stories that we have heard about coaches telling other coaches, don't go to Carolina. All of these stories. Peter King wrote an article like a month ago that said, if you are a coach who, and this blew my mind, I'm paraphrasing, but it's pretty close. He said, if you are a coach, a young, up-and-coming coach who has visions of grandeur and belief in yourself, don't go to Carolina. Hold out. Do another year of coordinating. Do another year of assistant coaching. Go be an associate head coach, secondary head coach, whatever they call it, assistant head coach. Go do that for an established program and spend another year or two before you go to Carolina. And I found that very interesting because I thought to myself, okay, I mean, on one hand, it makes sense that you would say you don't want to go to a spot where the owner is not going to hand over the reins. You don't want to go to a spot where an owner is not going to let you be the guy that is in charge of decision-making, down to individual play calls at times. It makes a lot of sense. At the same time, I got to think there's a coach somewhere that's going to be willing to go to Dave Tepper and go, listen, I'm your guy. I can come here and make this work, but here's the deal. You got to let me do me. I'm a peacock captain. You got to let me strut. There's got to be a coach who's gonna do that. And now all of a sudden it makes sense, because if Tep's the guy who, when an opposing fan says, ha ha, and I don't know what the fan said, but I assume it was something along the line of, gee golly willikers, mister, you sure have put out a mediocre football product, ha ha. And his response is to launch a whiskey sour into that guy's face. And when fans around the league say, your team's bad, and the media goes, what's your response? And his response is,
go outside, nerd.
Then what the hell do you think he is like to work for on a 1v1 basis? What do you think it's like to have Dave Tepper summon you to the meeting in his office to discuss what's happening with the football program he has tasked you with coaching, while he also tries to coach it? I imagine, and again, this is pure speculation. I don't have anybody on the inside, though we have plenty of stories. I imagine working for a hot-headed clown who is out of his element, who is under his depth, who does not know what he's doing, but at the same time is convinced that he is a damn genius, has got to be a fundamentally miserable experience. And I think that this thing, by the way, did you see his apology letter after he took the $300K fine?
I did not.
It's pathetic. Do you think he apologized for what he did? Oh, no. No.
Did he do that? If I offended anyone, I apologize. That type of thing where someone else wrote it.
I mean, I don't know if somebody else wrote it.
Hey, Bobby, get in here. I need an apology letter right now. I don't know why that
Did you just
sounded
go
like.
Full J. Jonah Jameson on it?
Yeah, it was either that or I couldn't go VKM because I would die. But yeah.
He said, quote, I am deeply passionate. Oh, time for our first dramatic reading of 2024. I am deeply passionate about this team and regret my behavior on Sunday. I should have let NFL Stadium security handle any issues that arose. I respect the NFL's code of conduct and accept the league's discipline for my behavior. That's it. That's the apology. That's it. The closest you got was I regret my behavior. Not I'm sorry, not even a my bad. Just hit me, dog, just hit me with a my bad, bro. Just hit me with a, hey, that's my bad, dog. Do you understand how quickly a my bad, dog will diffuse most situations? Most situations. I know it because I do it. I have stopped a couple of fights in my life by going, hey, look, my bad, dog. Hey, that's his bad, dude. That's on him. Our bad. His bad. Just say my bad. Nope. I regret my behavior. That's the closest you got. Not I'm sorry. This is, I'm sorry I got caught. I didn't know I was on camera. I didn't know somebody had their video their film. What the hell's it called? Camera. Their camera pointed at me.
A phone, probably. But
yeah.
I mean, it's hard to.
I didn't know somebody had their phone camera pointed at me. It's my bad. By the way, do you know what a $300,000 fine is to a billionaire?
Yeah, Pro Football Talk just put it up. It's like 0.00014 or something like that. It's not a lot. It's like less than a penny for us.
It would be like if I fined Lonzo a penny every time that he forgot to push the button before he turned his mic on. A penny.
You know, that's not a bad idea. We could amp up the game and put some
start putting dollars on it.
Yeah, I mean, because and then
here's the problem: each of us would win like $1 a week.
Well, no. We put it away in the office and in the vault, and then at the end of the year,
we buy each other a stick of bubble gum.
No. If we go full year, we're gonna have some money to buy something.
That's not a bad idea. We could throw our own Christmas party with that fun. Here's the point. Now, all of a sudden, the stuff from guys like Peter King going, don't come to Carolina, make a whole lot more sense to me, because this guy's out of his element. He's out of his depth. He can't control his emotions. And this is a sport. This is an industry where you damn sure better be able to. And this just brought it to light, because now all of a sudden, all the times when he told fans,
go outside, nerd.
When they asked, hey, are you gonna, try? Are you going to try? Now all of a sudden you realize that wasn't David Tepper making a ha-ha funny Reddit joke. That wasn't Dave Tepper trying to get a chuckle out of that reporter. That was Dave Tepper. That's who he is. That is how he views you, y'all. That is how he sees you. He sees you as mouth breathing, basement-dwelling dorks whom he is entitled to your money for owning the team. That's what he sees you as. This is a toy for him. I'll say this about JJ. I dunk on JJ a lot. But if there's one thing I do have to say about JJ, I genuinely think JJ loves his Dallas Cowboys, and I genuinely think JJ wants his Dallas Cowboys to be successful. I don't know if Dave Tepper loves his Panthers or wants them to be successful so much as he wants to be. You know what I think he wants? I think he wants to be JJ. I think he wants the fame and the notoriety that comes with being an owner. I say the same thing, by the way, about Gail Benson or the owner of the Saints. I don't think she really cares if the team's successful. I think she likes gallivanting around New Orleans in high society, getting invited to sit at the nice table at Emeril Lagasse's restaurant, and having people give her stuff for free. I think she likes to be at the Mardi Gras balls with the big crews at their parties at the end of the year, and doesn't really care about the team so much as cares about the status of being an owner. And I'm real close to putting Dave Tepper into that same category. And unless he shows me something this offseason to believe differently, I got to tell you, even I am kind of running out of optimism right now. It's not a Bryce Young thing. It's not a head coaching thing. I am running out of optimism that he is the type of person who can look inwards, who can reflect, who can look at himself in the mirror and go, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. And if he can't, I'm going to say this lovingly, as somebody who needs the team to thrive so that I can get paid more money. Y'all screwed, bruh. Y'all screwed, if that's what Dave Tepper is. But we'll find out. Hey, speaking of who Dave Tepper is, do you know who Mike Vrabel is?
I'm well aware of who Mike Vrabel is.
Mike Vrabel yesterday gave an answer to a reporter in a Tennessee Titan pregame presser getting ready for this weekend. And before I play you that, it ended with him saying,
sorry about my language.
I'll tell you what he said when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. That clip recorded mono.
Yeah, I fixed it.
You fixed the clip?
All you got to do is you change the let's make our brain work by just doing it because our brain does not want to function with words. You go to convert sample type, and when you convert sample type, you keep it on the same sample,
Okay.
but convert it to mono, then convert it back to stereo.
Where do you do this?
Convert sample type is an edit. Go down, it's all the way at the bottom. Make sure you click mono and convert it, and that will convert it to mono. Then convert it again to stereo, and it will put it right back to stereo.
Or sample type. We're converting to stereo. Lonzo, you genius, you.
Going on 26 years in radio, that's the only thing I've ever learned. But, I know how to do that. And no one taught me. Maybe I learned it in school and I just, forgot. Shout out Recording Workshop. In a town called Chillicothe that most people look and cannot figure out how to say the word. Chillicothe. It's Native American.
I assume that.
There's a paper plant there. It smells really bad.
Does it start with the word chill?
It does pretty much, yes. There you go.
I would like to.
That's where I learned the hacky sack. Probably couldn't do it now, but then, I could stall, I could do all that kind of stuff. And I was nearly 30, but everybody else was doing it in order to, participate.
It sucks.
Yeah, that was
on there.
Yeah,
That's
you should
beeped.
Yeah, but still, it was over a commercial. It was a barter, so we're good. Maybe, unless someone's up early again.
Oh, I didn't want to close that. Dadgummit. Oh well. Put me in mute or put me in queue real quick so we can hear something. Oh. Mox. That'll be a sparingly used one, but I like it. Why can't I?
Good morning, Zach.
Hi, Zach. Hey, I'm glad about your Abby there because we're going to be talking Braves later on, buddy.
All right. Do you need the thing back up probably because you're going to use it?
There's actually the whole bite in the audio.
No, I know, but
Okay.
you'll be using it for something else. So I'm turning your thing back up.
Yeah. I got to tell you, the Tennessee Titans have been disappointing this year. I really expected good things out of Tennessee. Honestly, I had Tennessee selected as one of my dark horse division contenders. I thought Tennessee could realistically give the Jacksonville Jaguars a run for the money in the AFC South. And it turns out they are the only team in the AFC South, pardon me. They are the only team in the AFC South who can't win the division this weekend. There are 3 teams tied in that division right now. All 3 of those teams, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and the other one, Houston. It's early.
Well, I mean, that's the one no one expected to be there
It's
competing.
In fairness, much like the NFC South, the only reason they're there and competing is because that division's not very. It is. They're all 9-7.
Except for us who really believed in C.J. Stroud and his ability, and he's proven that.
Turns out with wide receivers, quarterbacks can throw the ball. Who knew?
Whatever reason you want to give.
It is what it is. Anyway, the point here is the Titans are the only team in that division that is eliminated right now at 5-11. It's been a very disappointing season. The question mark is any part of that due to head coach Mike Vrabel? Is there any part of that we're going to stick on the head coach? And here's the reason why. I really want to like Mike Vrabel. I do. I'm really hoping that we can't pin this on Mike Vrabel. And the reason that I hope we can't pin this on Mike Vrabel is because Vrabel strikes me as the type of dude that a lot of players, not every player, but a lot of players would run through a wall for. Yesterday, in a press conference, Mike Vrabel was asked by a reporter how bad and why he wants to win this weekend. There is a reporter who goes by the name of Gentry Estes who covers the Titans.
Well, you make it sound like that's not his real name. He goes by the name of.
Goes by the name of his it's like the Brits. The Brits say he's called.
Okay.
He's called Lonzo.
Yes.
It's just his name is Gentry Estes.
Yeah, because who would name their kid Gentry? By the way, it's a cool name. I'm just kidding.
Gentry Estes is a great name.
Yeah, it's a very snooty name though.
He writes for the Tennessean. He talks about the Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel said the Titans need to win on Sunday, and he said they need to win for a lot of reasons. Gentry Estes asked him to expound upon those reasons, and this was Mike Vrabel's response.
Because it sucks to lose, Gentry.
Trey, ever need to show you anything?
Did you have another thought or no? I'm just curious.
Well,
It sucks.
Is that
Losing. Awful. That's why I want to win. Because you don't sleep. You want to win for the players that bust their tail. I think that's it. You know what I mean? It's not about, hey, we'll go into the offseason with a good note. Nobody knows what you did on January 7th or 8th or 6th in April when you come back. But, you know, you want to see, you know, just it all come together and just put 4 quarters together. You know, win a game like we talked about. You come in here, well, you close game. Yeah, we feel the same way. You know, in that game the other day, you know, we got to put ourselves into a competitive game where it's, you know, back and forth, and there's some field position, and then you score and you take care of the football. And we just hadn't done that in the opportunities that we had, that were like, okay, we fought and we were close. But I think that's why, you know, you just put yourself in a competitive situation, you know, come up with a way to, you know, make a play in the second half to win the game. That's what I hope for. Sorry about my language.
I want you to know, I could have ended that clip about 30 seconds before it ended, but I 130% had to get
Sorry about my language.
on the end of that because I love it. That being said,
or for future when you get dumped and you have to throw that in there afterwards.
Sorry about my language.
Yeah, okay.
but also
It sucks.
I love this guy. Now, the problem is that doesn't make him a good coach. And it doesn't mean he's going to be successful. Is that motivational? Lonzo, is that the kind of coach that would be resounding to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've also seen him coach. I saw him play, and you know, and he's the guy next to you on the line. That's a guy. You're gonna do anything to make his day better. I mean, and he's gonna be there to pick you up and all that kind of stuff. They talk about players, coaches. He's probably the definitive players coach.
Completely agree on all counts.
He's probably hanging at the club with the guys and doing all that kind of stuff. Whatever they're doing, he probably could get right in there and not look out of place like some other coaches do.
Yep. Vrabel's the dude that lifts with the team and they don't think it's corny, right? He's the dude that when he comes out to practice as a coach with a sleeveless hoodie on, the players are like, yo, that's dope. All right. That being said, I love that clip. I love that from Vrabel. That is exactly the kind of coach that would resound with me. Not everybody. This is why there are different coaches with different styles that are all successful across all leagues. Because just like there are coaches with different styles, there are kids, players, whatever, that respond to different styles of coaching. So I don't know if Vrabel's going to be successful or not. I'm going to tell you right now, I think this was the most, I honestly think Tennessee might be the most disappointing team in the league. Like the whole league, I think they might be the most disappointing team. There's plenty of other teams that did not live up to what I thought that they were going to be. I think that, you know, I can't call the Jets disappointing. When Rodgers went down, their season went down. I can't call the Steelers disappointing. I expected them to be a, 10, 11 tops win football team.
What he always does. Yeah.
I would say the Jags are a little disappointing. I expected them to be a 12-win team or so. They're at 9, but they're in division contention. I would say the Eagles are a little disappointing because they've been exposed the last couple of games. But I think the most disappointing team in the league is the Tennessee Titans. So I don't know how much of that is on Vrabel. I do put a little bit on the GM because their offensive line is and this is true, bigger joke than Carolina's, which is saying something. But that is the type of coach a lot of guys are going to respond to. Here's the thing. Doesn't mean he's going to be a good coach. You still got to know X's and O's. You still got to know X's and O's and have guys around you that know X's and O's as well.
Yeah, they've been in the playoffs a bunch, though.
They have?
It isn't like, there's been a long drought. It's just there's been a decline of some of the players that have done really well, and it's time for them to probably redo a lot.
I completely agree. I would also ask, what have they done in those playoffs?
Is Derrick Henry feared anymore?
When he's behind an offensive line that is not made up of 5 wet paper towels?
I don't
yes.
know. I think he's getting kind of old. I do.
I'm going to tell you right now, Derrick Henry's going to be traded this offseason. It's guaranteed. Derrick Henry's playing for a new team next year. And if Derrick Henry gets behind a line like San Francisco's, if he gets behind a line like, actually where he'd really fit, he's not going to end up here. Calm yourself down a little bit. You know where Derrick Henry would be successful? I guarantee it, Carolina. You know why? Because then they'd power run the football. And that offensive line in a power run set is the strength. That's what he would kill in Charlotte. Tennessee can't, won't, doesn't. Their offensive line's a joke. That's part of the reason I'm actually pretty impressed with what Will Levis was able to do, because he, just like BY, was playing for his life. The difference is he had D-Hop.
If the transfer portal existed in the NFL, how many players would be left in Carolina?
That's why no professional sport has a transfer portal. College football is the only sport that has unlimited free agency.
Semi-professional sport, yeah.
Let's go with that, sure. Here's the point. In just a minute, we're going to talk Gamecock football. Because yesterday, Lonzo, they lost their 21st player to the transfer portal. 21.
Is that more than Florida State?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But this is portal. This is not draft and
No,
graduation.
I know.
This is just the portal.
I just
21
wonder
guys.
what team has lost the most so far.
I got to think South Carolina's going to be in that mix. And on top of that, not only did the 20th and 21st player transfer, and by the way, you are done. Yesterday was the last day players could enter into the portal. But the guy who entered, the big name who entered into the portal yesterday, was expected to be a foundational guy. The guy who entered into the portal yesterday was expected to be like a Gamecock lifer, and he was good. I think there were some elements of the game that I think could have got cleaned up. I think he could have been even better, but he was good. Last year, Carolina fans told me that he was the best recruiter the Gamecocks had, a player. He's gone now. And I want to talk about the optics of that and why. Why am I bringing this up after bringing up Mike Vrabel? Here's why. Because I have gotten to the point where, and again, before I say this so that people aren't clipping it and make me look like a jackass, I like Shane Beamer. I appreciate Shane coming on the show. By the way, we're going to have him back on at some point during the offseason. I've already started that conversation.
Cool.
I like him. I want him to succeed. I like what he's done as far as the culture building. But here's the problem. You are at the point now where two things have popped out to me. Culture building, much like Mike Vrabel at Tennessee, don't mean a damn thing if it ain't got that dub behind it. You could have the greatest culture in the league, but if you're not given dubs, it doesn't matter. And then, that's an X's and O's thing. Number two, you can have a fantastic culture, but if it is surface level, you're going to be found out real quick. Now, I'm not saying that is the case in Columbia, but the guy who transferred out yesterday makes me very concerned that it is. And I'm going to tell you who I'm talking about when we come back here in just a minute. That's Lonzo. He's on the ones and twos. I am Rob Brown. It is a pleasure to have you. 844-326-3663. Text us 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. The Rob Brown Show rolls on.
Sorry about my language.
This is the Fan Upstate.
All right, 24/7 just put out an article like yesterday about the teams hit hardest by transfer portal.
Yep.
And South Carolina's on the list, but they're not number one.
Who's number one?
Well, number 10 is Clemson. Number 9 is Florida State. Number 8 is South Carolina. 7, Notre Dame. 6, Vandy. 5, USC. 4, Duke. 3, Oregon State. 2, Florida, and number 1, Texas A&M. Now, I can't tell without if they mean numbers or if they
Impact.
mean the impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let a naysayer know. I loved it. Yeah, Zach, we're going to talk about the Chris Sale trade a little later on because it's a there's a lot of questions about it. And I'm going to tell you why I think it was actually a very good move.
So I'm trying to think LAWK.
Let a white guy know?
Yeah, I mean,
Let a white know.
yeah, I just don't. I mean, oh, LACK, lack. Let a cracker know.
Let a cracker know.
Happy New Year, Keegan.
Dang it. Now I want to make lack t-shirts for us. Keegan, can you make t-shirts?
He can, but I don't. That could.
I'm wearing it.
It might get us in trouble.
I don't
though.
care. I'm wearing it. I don't care.
It's okay one way. I'm not so sure. I don't know.
Keegan, if you make t-shirts, I am bringing you business today. Today.
All right, I'd wear the shirt.
You damn right you
yeah,
would.
Yeah, I'd wear the shirt. And I will come up with a totally different yet plausible reason why the shirt says what it does.
I'm like running through all the titles in a radio station in my head, trying to find one that starts with C, but only C. I mean, we can put any letter there, but lack is perfect. It's so good. All right, Keegan. I'm calling you after the show.
Could you make the letters have like a saltine background?
I bet Keegan could.
I mean,
he's kind of a creative
yeah,
genius. That's kind of his thing.
The saltines have a certain look to them.
Yes, they do. I'm a big
you don't
saltine guy.
You don't want to go Ritz. I mean, because if you want to go,
no, you got to go classic saltine.
Yeah, I mean,
that's where that comes from. $20, 24 hours to go. I want to be sedated.
Me too. My head still hurts. I was sleeping so hard yesterday when I went home that the Hunger Games came on. And it was into the second part when I woke up.
To the second movie?
Yeah, there was something else on. Remember I told you finding something familiar? That wasn't it.
Yeah.
There was something else on. It was like Thor Dark World was on. I just turned that on because who doesn't go to sleep during that? And then I woke up in the second movie of Hunger Games. It was like, oh, I probably should get up now.
$21. That is the number of transfer portal players opting out of Shane Beamer's South Carolina football program. Yesterday was another big name. Grayson Pup Howard, linebacker, decided he was going to hit the portal. That comes just days after Stone Blanton, linebacker, hit the portal. South Carolina went from, and I mean this, arguably one of the best 2 or 3 linebacker locker rooms coming into next season, right back to, we better hit the portal hard, right? Here's the interesting thing about Pup Howard entering the portal. Now, Obviously, we cover the team. I follow the team. I keep an eye on the team. Yada, yada, yada. South Carolina fans were referring to Pup Howard last go-round as their MVP recruiter. Pup Howard was the guy that was talking to guys to get them to come to South Carolina. Pup Howard was a guy that seemed to be all in. He just seemed to be all in on USC. The whole come home thing is listen, I gotta tell you, I love it. As a brand guy, as a guy who appreciates brands and brand building and understands, especially in this business and really across all sports, building and maintaining a brand is the single most important thing that you can do. I love that whole concept. I think it's a winner. But here's the problem. I don't know why it is that Pup is leaving. Here's what I do know. Tanner Bailey, Colton Gauthier, Mario Anderson, Jondarius Morgan, Grayson Maines, Jalen Nichols, Juice Wells, Omega Blake, Landon Sampson, Xavier Short, Kyla Corton, Cam Sandlin, who also went in yesterday, Xavier McLeod, Felix Hickson, DeAndre Martin, Donovan Westmoreland, Stone Blanton, Pup Howard, Kajon Banks, Isaiah Norris, and Mitch Jeter, all gone. That is 21 players. Now, what I do not think it is fair to do, and I think some South Carolina fans are already doing this, is accuse every guy who's leaving of chasing NIL dollars. It is also not fair to say that none of them are.
Are you willing to say that there is a greater percentage of people going after money?
No, I'm not willing to say that.
I'm
not willing to say that it is untrue, but I'm not willing to say that it is true. I think we know that Juice Wells is chasing the NIL bag, right? Like there's not a big secret about that. What I have been told by someone that covers the program is the reason Pup Howard is leaving is to go back closer to home. That he thought he was going to be fine playing football 7 to 10 hours away from home, and that after a year of doing it, he's like, this is not for me. I suspect there are, again, not a majority, but I suspect there are a handful of guys that realize after they leave and they go somewhere else that being away from home is not for them. It's not, they can't do it. I know that when I went to school, I was just a couple of hours from where I grew up. And it was a lot. It was a lot. For a kid that grew up, and I'm going to go ahead and be that guy, for a kid who grew up in a fantastic household with two parents I was very fortunate to have and a little brother that I love but tolerate more than I don't, and a good school and a good education, when I left, it was a different world to go from living in a nice house with a dock on a lake to living in a 300 square foot dorm room, right? It's just not for some guys. And from what I am being told, this is not Pup's chasing the bag. This is Pup wants to go back home. He wants to be closer to the house. And I'm going to ask, is anybody going to fault him for that? I can't. I can't at all. If he wants to be closer to home and family, don't we all say family first?
There was a thing where I went to school at, where I went to college at. We get up the next day for football practice, and the coach would say someone else took the night train. Because people in the night, and you could see people going, man, I can't handle this. I need to go home.
Yeah.
And then they would just be gone the next day.
Yeah. And there is, so that we're clear, nothing wrong with that. If you'd rather be home, that's fine. Here is where I get a concern. The whole branding thing is great. As I've said that from the beginning. The one thing Shane Beamer's doing better than anybody else is building that Carolina brand, getting people juiced, getting people excited. Well, everybody except Juice, getting people excited. The problem is that can't be superficial. That can't be surface level. It's like going out with a pretty girl, and then 10 minutes into dinner conversation, you're like, oh my God, this is miserable. It's happened, right? It can't just be superficial. Now, I don't know that this is the case. But what I will say is when you have 21 guys that decide they want to be somewhere else, there are going to be some cats that it doesn't matter how hard you try, it doesn't matter what you do, you're just not going to keep them. I don't think no matter what South Carolina was going to do next year, they weren't keeping Juice Wells. He was gone, okay? I also don't think it's fair to say that every dude who's leaving is chasing the bag. They're all going somewhere else for NIL because some of these kids, there ain't a bag to chase, right? There's not a bag to chase. And so because of all of those things, I am intrigued and we'll be working on diving a little deeper to see if we can find out a little bit more about what is happening here. Again, like Shane, want Shane to succeed, think Shane's got the chance to do it. But if you're building this superficial facade on the program behind the come home stuff, that we're fun, we're loosey-goosey, we're dancing in the locker room with silly glasses, everybody loves it, the fans are fired up, we're all having the time of our lives. And then guys get there, and after a year in the program, they go, this ain't it, Chief. That means one of two things. They're either sick of losing, or all of the building, all of the branding that you've got going on is covering up what is actually happening. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that's what happens. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of people who cover the program. None of them have ever said, Rob, the surface level's great, but inside the locker room, it's toxic. I don't get that impression at all. But something is happening here. And it's not all 21 guys are leaving for the bag. I don't know how many are. 7, 10, 14. I don't know how many of these guys are leaving for the NIL bag elsewhere. But I got to suspect there are at least a few that are leaving for opportunity. Juice Wells is not going to Ole Miss because he's sick of losing. He's going to Ole Miss because Lane bought into NIL from the beginning. He's going to help him get the bag. Xavier McLeod is going to Georgia. He strikes me as a dude who realizes I've got championship caliber talent and it is never going to be featured here. And until you change that mentality, which, by the way, is infinitely difficult to do in the NIL era, but until the perspective shifts, I have got to assume there are one of two reasons that 21 guys opted out and transferred out of South Carolina. Either number one, they're sick of losing and you lost too many games you should have won last year. Or two, you have built this wonderful facade around the program, around Willie B, but kids get in, spend a year, maybe two, and then they go, this isn't what I was told. What have I told you? In the NIL era, you have to recruit thrice. You got to recruit out of high school to get kids to your program. You got to recruit kids out of the portal to come to your program. And then you've got to recruit kids to stay in your program. And it feels to me like there is the possibility that Shano was failing on that third front. You know a guy who never fails? Lonzo, like this.
Word of the day, kids. Thrice.
Thrice.
Learn it. David Tepper may have had the most expensive drink in history after a video of the Carolina Panthers owner throwing a drink into a Jacksonville fan last Sunday went viral. Tepper has been fined $300,000 as a punishment, along with a reprimand for his actions. Tepper said in response that he is passionate about the team, but accepts the discipline. After controversy in the conclusion of the Dallas versus Detroit game, the NFL has sent a memo to all teams reminding them to make sure their eligibility is clearly communicated to officials. The letter comes after Lions tackle Dan Skipper claims he told officials he was eligible, but an ineligible call was made that cost Detroit a game-winning 2-point conversion. We are your home for Furman basketball. Tune in tonight at 6:30 as the Paladins take on UNC Greensboro right here on your home for the Furman Paladins, the Fan, Upstate.
Excellent work.
I stumbled on my at the end, but that's fine. Achieve perfection, I'll be disappointed the rest of the way.
Once you set the bar at the top.
I think a famous man says, started from the bottom, now we're here.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
But now we don't know what to do while we're here because we got here. Now what do we do? Now I don't know.
Keegan, I love some lowbrow humor, buddy. I want to be sedated. I don't know why that song's in my head, to be 100% honest with you.
I don't know, but you're putting it in mine too. And
in Greenville and in Ashland. 864-448-3772.
So you're in the middle of a kitchen update, and you can't tell if that's a faucet stem or a flange. With the Home Depot app, do it. It doesn't miss a beat. It'll find what you need in a snap, and it'll show you how to find it in store with a tap, or get it delivered free. For doing that doesn't stop. Download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional grade supplies for every industry, even hard to find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When it comes to the best sports talk anywhere, listen to the Fan Upstate on Odyssey, no matter where you are, in the car, at home, at work. Download the free Odyssey app on your phone. Search the Fan Upstate, and you're in the game. Hey, now we roll. The Fan Upstate. The Fan Upstate.
WORD Spartanburg.
CH3 the official sports voice of the Upstate Fan. CBS Sports Radio.
Hey, check this out.
You're an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represent freedom winning.
Yeah. Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Yeah, Rob.
I missed it last hour.
Yeah, I didn't. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Hour numero dos underway right now. Great to have you. Happy Wednesday, my dudes and dudettes. I am Rob Brown on the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM, the guy in charge of 70 to 80% of the sound that comes through your speakers in the morning. I've got the other 20%.
I'm talking to America here.
Lonzo is a superstar.
Is Lonzo. I am Rob Brown, which makes sense because that's the name of the show. It's a new sweater you got on today, big dog.
It's not. It's a hoodie, but you can't. The hair's covering. The hair's covering the hood. Yes,
it's a good hoodie.
Yeah. My wife got it for me for Christmas.
It's a good hoodie. The black Ohio State Buckeyes hoodie with the block OHIO across the top.
Yeah, this is a morning sweatshirt.
That's a good hoodie.
I don't mean morning. I mean morning.
Yeah, with a U in it.
Yeah, because of a horrible 11-2 season.
Yes, horrible. Fire Ryan Day immediately.
Now.
Immediately.
Bring in a coach who wants to win, like Mike Vrabel.
Light him up! Light his ass up!
Gotta get rid of that guy. Gotta do it. He lost to the team that is the odds-on favorite to win the national championship. Pathetic.
Yeah,
Pathetic.
but then he turned around and lost to someone else with a block M in their name. So obviously he can't beat anything with a block M in their name. And then there's this other team that's playing for the national championship, who I believe is coming into the Big Ten. And if you turn the M upside down, it's a W, and he probably can't beat them either. So it's, I'm just saying, let's bring someone in who can. 11-2 is unacceptable. A winning season is expected, but beating Michigan is priority because everything else is going to happen.
So
you lost to Missouri, dude. And why is
Missouri's good?
No, Missouri is good.
Missouri's
but
good.
that third string quarterback comes in and doesn't know what he's doing. When you already knew, the third string is now the second string because your first string left in the portal, and you've had this long, you had a month or whatever it is between that and the bowl game to get not only your first string, who was your second string, ready to be, you need to have your third string, who is your second string, ready also, and he was not. It just, this happened because Marvin Harrison did, but no, it didn't. It did not. This is poor coaching. It's horrible. It's ridiculous. It needs to be gone. You can't win the big game. You cannot win the big game. Urban Meyer had a third string guy ready. Tressel had a third string guy ready. I bet Earl Bruce had a third string guy ready.
Earl Bruce.
Go away, Day.
I'm gonna give you I'm gonna put on your desk right now, Lonzo, a little box with a red button on the top.
Good luck finding a place to put. I mean, because I'm running out of
Metaphorically
space.
speaking, I'm gonna put a little button on your desk, and if you push that button, Ryan Day is immediately terminated. But if you don't push that button, he gets 2 more years. What are you doing?
Is the button there now?
Yeah, button's there right now.
So I'm going in there and pushing the button.
Like you're walking off the show to go in there and push the button.
Great coaches is what they do at Ohio State. So it's not, I mean, you're going to find a guy to come in and do better than losing to Michigan 3 years in a row and then losing to Missouri. I mean, come on. Win a big game, Ryan Day. You're a great offensive coordinator. Some coordinators are not meant to be head coaches. As I saw tweeted whatever throughout that day as they were losing to Missouri, I remember when our third string quarterback could win a national championship. You know what? So do I.
You guys.
It's not pampered. It's not. It's expected. And if you don't expect that for your school, then you have low expectations. Every school should have that expectation. Ohio State has achieved it many times, but not with this guy.
Ryan Day took over as the head coach of the Buckeyes in 2018. He is, since then, 13-1 with a Rose Bowl win, 13-1 with a Fiesta Bowl loss,
horrible,
7-1 in the COVID year with a Sugar Bowl win and a college football playoff national championship loss, 11-2 with a Rose Bowl win, 11-2 with a Peach Bowl loss, 11-2 with a Cotton Bowl loss. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you first and foremost, a lot of the tension would roll off your back if you recognize that bowl wins that aren't playoff games don't matter. Who the hell cares? They do not matter.
They don't matter. They don't.
So if they don't matter, your last 3 seasons were 11-1, 11-1, 11-1. Now, granted, they all 3 had a one that kept you out of a playoff game because of a loss to the rival. I get it.
Well, they got him one time, even though they lost to Michigan.
That's
when they played Georgia, and the worst kick in the history of mankind.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Which the ball drop will never be the same for me. And I haven't mentioned that. As midnight approaches, like, I don't care about the ball dropping because it just reminds me of that kick.
The ball did drop.
Yeah.
Just to the right of the upright.
It reminds me. I thought it was to the left, but it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It
whatever.
reminds me of that kick and will forever as long as I shall live.
I can't. End of sentence.
You know what? I can't either. That's why he's got to go.
Man. Here you go, Carolina fans. South Carolina fans. Ryan Day gets fired by Lonzo today. I'm going to hand the red button to you. You push the red button, Ryan Day replaces Shane Beamer. You taking it? South Carolina fans?
I'm going to say they will, as long as you're okay with them never beating Clemson again.
Wow. How many years in a row would South Carolina fans be 11-1, but the one is Clemson before they go, we've had enough?
Here's the thing. Ohio State loses to Clemson in the playoff. They put the things in the locker room, and they want that rematch. They get that rematch with Clemson, and they just destroy them. Why can't they do that against Michigan? Why can't they do that? Yeah, Michigan's cheating. Yeah, we get all that. That's true. They are cheating.
Oh,
but still.
Wait till I play the Feinbaum clip for you later in the show. This clip's so good, I'm going to play a Feinbaum clip just to show you. All right?
You're going to show me and everybody else. Yeah.
That being said,
fire Ryan Day.
Forget the cheating. I think the unfortunate part for you is that you have to recognize that while Ohio State is one of the kings of the hill, so's Michigan. They're real good right now.
They are
all-time good right now.
They're very good, and their quarterback's adequate.
Real good right now. All right. We'll talk more about this coming up in a little while, but it's just after 7 o'clock in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, you are less than 52 minutes away from having to hit the old pay clock punch-in button. And when you do, I'm assuming not long after that, you're going to want to take a break. You're going to want to head down to the water cooler. You are going to want to spend a few minutes talking sports with your coworkers. And in order to do that, you are going to need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
You hear that?
their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go.
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
The water cooler cheat sheet, the 3 sports stories that you will need to know before you go talk sports with your coworkers around the water cooler at work. Let's jump in to item number 1. It may potentially be the most expensive drink in history. Carolina Panthers owner David Tepper was fined $300,000 yesterday by the NFL, which equates to around 0.001% of his net worth, for what the league called, quote, unacceptable conduct. The league said in a statement, quote, all NFL personnel are expected to conduct themselves at all times in ways that respect our fans and favorably reflect on their team and the NFL. David Tepper also issued an apology in which he said that the mistake was a result of his being passionate about the team. He was caught in a moment of passion. I feel like we should have like a timeless moment for that.
Yeah,
read.
if you don't know what he's doing in that pause, if you're actually listening on the radio, which we encourage, by the way, but we also encourage you listen or watch on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and the X, and you would see what Rob was doing multiple times.
Woe is me.
There we go.
My passion hath got the best of me once again.
Now you're painting a picture as well as doing a pantomime.
That's good. That's good. That's up there with thrice. That's good. Tepper said the passion for the team was what led him to make a mistake. He said he regrets his behavior. It is similar to the $250,000 fine that former Tennessee Titans owner Bud Adams received back in 2009 when he flipped the old bird at a group of Buffalo fans celebrating a victory over his Titans, which, by the way, I care about that less.
I was going to say that was less expensive in one way because the drink that he threw was probably pretty expensive.
Yeah, that was like a $50,000 drink, apparently.
Yeah.
It's $250,000 to give the old bird to the opposing fans. It's $300K if you throw a whiskey sour, which makes that drink worth $50,000.
If Bud went double, did he get fined for both fingers?
Ooh, is it $500K if you hit him with the old double bird?
Yeah, I'm curious
great question.
about that.
It's a great question. I'm telling you, that's why Grandma Deanie, she goes, give him the whole flock. Give him the whole flock. You give him all of them. Then you can't get in trouble, all right? Anyway, I find that story interesting for a number of reasons. Number one, I think it is the most direct reflection of the actual temperament of David Tepper that we have gotten so far. I think we know who he is now. And I do not think he is the type of cat who has the temperament to build a successful program because everything he's doing is his decision. And then he gets mad at everybody else for going, hey, your decisions suck. And he flips out. And when the media says, hey, what would you say to the fans? He says,
I have had enough of you.
Go outside, nerd.
and I love it. See, that was 2 clips back to back, but they.
Oh no, it was a good
fit.
job. Yeah, head's hurting a little, so the
got it.
background noise got
Too
me.
much Shatner.
But yeah.
Too much
I mean, and speaking of passion, I mean Shatner, you throw him in there.
So, David Tepper is fined $300,000 for his questionable conduct at the Panthers game this past Sunday. Here's why this is really interesting to me. $300K is a metaphorical drop in the proverbial bucket for one Dave Tepper. Back in 2018 at Gillette Stadium, the Kansas City Chiefs were playing the New England Patriots. They used to have a guy you may have heard of. His name was Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, after scoring a touchdown, made his way over to the New England Patriots sideline and proceeded to celebrate because he scored a touchdown. And a Patriots fan chunked a drink into the face of Tyreek Hill. But that's not the only time that has happened. There was also another game involving the Cleveland Browns. If memory serves me correctly, there was another game where another fan threw a drink at a player on the sideline. And when he did, do you want to guess what happened to not just him, but the fan of the Chiefs game? It turns out that both of those players were banned for life from those stadiums. Banned for life. Banned for life. So the NFL says, hey, if you are a player, if you are a fan and you throw a drink on a player, you're banned for life. If you're an owner and you throw a drink on a fan, you are fined 0.001% of your net worth. Lonzo, if you throw a drink on me, you have to pay me a penny. It's pathetic.
Wow, that's enticing. At the same time, $300,000 fan, if you, fine. And you look at how much that fan paid for a seat over a lifetime of going, he probably got off easy being banned. Because you think it $300,000? How many games would you have to go to?
If you're
to
a
get
diehard fan season ticket holder, that's pain, bro. That's pain.
I could, I'm curious about what Rashad would say about that.
Well, we're going to find out tomorrow. Yeah. Item number 2. maybe the Carolina Hurricanes are good. It was an up and down season for the Carolina Hurricanes to this point. And then all of a sudden, they won a game. Pretty good game. On the road at Nash Vegas. Then they came back home and they beat the Canadiens. Then they went on the road to Toronto and knocked off the Maple Leafs. And he thought, all right, that's a 3-game win streak, my dudes. Which, by the way, matches the season high total for longest win streak. At 3 games. It's the most they had accomplished. But you thought last night, they might be in trouble because on the road they go. To Madison Square Garden, they go to take on the mighty New York Rangers. First place in the Metropolitan Division standings of the NHL's Eastern Conference, a team that entered with 51 points. Carolina had 43. Today, Carolina is 3 points closer with 46 points because they not only beat the Rangers last night, but went on the road and beat them 6-1. You had a goal out of Michael Bunting. You had a goal out of Jordan Martinook. You had a goal, actually a pair of goals, out of Andrei Svechnikov. You had a goal out of Jack Drury as well. The Canes put up a 6-1 win against the division leaders last night. You want to talk about a team that's found a little something as they move towards the end of the season. Well, and midway point of the season. You want to talk about a team that's suddenly starting to pick up points. That is the 4th win in a row. Not only is it the 4th win in a row, but now they have an opportunity to grow that even more because this Friday night they're on the road again, but it's against the Capitals. That's a winnable game for the Carolina Hurricanes. They could string together a 5-game win streak, a 5-game points streak. There's a lot of potential here, and I like it a lot. We'll talk more NHL hockey as football season comes to its close. Finally, item number 3. Another Carolina team, a Charlotte team, also came off the snide last night. 111-104, the Charlotte Hornets knock off the 19-13 Sacramento Kings. It was just the 8th win on the season for the Buzz, but it snapped an 11-game losing streak. LaMelo Ball obviously still out with that busted up flat tire, but Terry Rozier did things last night. 34 points on 13 of 24 shooting, had 3 boards, 6 assists, a steal, and a couple of blocks to go along with it. Mikal Bridges got some PT last night. 27 points on 9 of 18 shooting, including 50%, 3 of 6 from deep. The Buzz overall, 51.2% from the floor, 35.3% from behind the arc, and 80% from the stripe. They got out-rebounded by Sacramento 48-35. Ordinarily, that is a recipe for disaster, but when you shoot 52% and you hold them to 44%, you're in a good spot. Listen, I'm really frustrated with this team because if LaMelo Ball's healthy, it looks like a much different team. If they are on the rise with the full complement of players, I think they could be a really good team. I see a lot of spark. I see a lot of potential, but it just seems like next year is the earliest this team could really develop anything. That being said, that's a promising win. That's a win you had to go get a gut out, and I like it. I was glad to see it. That's your water cooler cheat sheet, ladies and gentlemen, the 3 items you needed to know when we come back here in just a minute from right now. I got a ton of stuff that we need to get into. We're going to talk a little ATL Bravos. They made a move while I was on vacation that I have not gotten the chance to address. Chris Sale coming down from Beantown to be added to the Bravos rotation. How do we like that and why? We need to talk about Christian McCaffrey, ladies and gentlemen, not just as a football player, but as a former Carolina Panther, and why Panthers fans need to just take a deep breath, guys. Just relax a little bit. But when we come back here in a minute, we talked about the transfer portal out of South Carolina. Cam Ward was one of the 2 highest rated quarterbacks in the portal, and he's decided he's going pro. Why? He skipped out on NIL money for a pro draft debut. I'm going to tell you, and it's something you might want to keep in the back of your brain. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate.
So apparently, according to the stream, I'm a whiner about Ohio State.
And a crier.
Yeah, I'm just not. Okay.
Stop whining and crying.
Oh, I could whine and cry if that's what you want.
I'm getting a granola bar.
Okay. You're right, Hingle, if that's your name. They're an 11-2 spiral. Unacceptable. I don't believe you're one of those people who doesn't get sarcasm. Because, if you're a Michigan fan, which it's implied that you're a Michigan fan, you would absolutely have to understand sarcasm because that's how Jim Harbaugh speaks. As do everyone from Ohio. It's sarcasm is our first language. English is our second. That's why
the Pistons tanking so they can get Caitlin Clark.
That's why I don't English well, because it's my second language.
There right now, if I'm the guy that Tep threw a drink at, I'm blind.
Yeah, absolutely. At least in one eye.
Uh-huh. I am Stevie Wonder.
So, you got a new gadget over the holidays. Don't forget to listen to your favorite station on Odyssey. Unwrapped a new Amazon Echo or Google Home? Be sure to tell your smart speaker to play your favorite station. Receive the new Sonos speaker? Check out Odyssey on the Sonos app for access to hundreds of stations. Got a new phone? Don't forget the Odyssey app is the only way you can jump to your favorite show and rewind. No matter what you receive this year, listen to your favorites with Odyssey. Download the free Odyssey app today. AUDACY.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you love with flexibility, great pay, and
Y'all messed up, bro.
Super Tuesday episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel. Don Munson, Director of Broadcasting Clemson, will be joining us. What grade would he give Clemson?
By the way, I'm not offended. I mean, I'm good.
The Flyers are fun, buddy. I do miss the Flyers days. I tried to get to a game while I was down there for Christmas, but they only had one, and it was the day of the engagement party. And my mom did not accept skipping out on that for hockey. I was offended.
You should be.
Cam Ward was in the transfer portal. Cam Ward, one of the two, arguably, highest touted quarterbacks in the portal after Duke's Riley Leonard, who went to Notre Dame. It was he and DJ Uiagalelei that were getting the most eyeballs on at the QB spot. DJ, of course, committing on Monday to Florida State University to replace the departing Jordan Travis. Cam Ward was the only guy left out there, and it looked like the two of them may be getting into a bit of an ACC rivalry because Cam Ward was being courted by the University of Miami. Yesterday, Cam Ward, who was, again, in the portal being recruited by and looked like he was wanting to head to Miami, decided, to the shock of many a hurricane, that instead he wanted to head to the National Football League. Now, that's not a huge deal, right? Not a big deal. Hey, passed up on NIL money to go to the draft. Okay. I mean, listen, he's a quarterback. If he has any success at all in the league, he is likely over the first 4 years of his career going to make more than he might have made in 1 year at the University of Miami. Although there are question marks because remember, it was Matt Rule who told us a couple of weeks ago that it's going to cost you, what do you say, like $1.5 to $2 million to get a top-notch quarterback out of the portal? That's the NIL money that those guys are getting. So if Cam Ward's not a first or second round draft pick, he might have made more in a year at Miami than he would have in the NFL, but he decided to go to the league anyway. Now, that's not the interesting part of the story to me. The interesting part of the story to me is that there is a quote now coming out of the Cam Ward camp. There is a reporter by the name of TJ Pittenger who said, quote, sources telling me that Cam Ward was very close to committing to the Miami Hurricanes before Miami fans started to spam his mentions and create trending hashtags. Well, wait a minute here, Rob. Why would that be a big deal? Seems like that's what you'd want, right? You'd want a fan base that was singing your praises before you even showed up on campus. You would want a fan base that was so committed, so energetic, that they had you trending on X before you even strapped on the green and orange helmet, right? Not really. Because according to TJ Pittenger, Cam Ward's camp said, quote, those people have all kind of Twitter energy but won't show up to games, end quote. Here's what I'm driving at here. This is just one guy. But if you don't think that your participation as a fan matters still, I am going to say I believe that you are mistaken. Are players going to schools for NIL money? Sure. There are a lot of them that do that.
So that's kind of proof, going back to last hour when you said that, that you weren't sure that the South Carolina players were leaving for money. Gamecock fans show up. So it ain't like you can look in the stadium and go, there's no one here to watch me play. They do show up. So
which is part of the reason.
I think it's the money.
Part of the reason why, tell me if I'm wrong, you've been here longer than I, but part of the reason that via portal or recruiting, South Carolina recruiting has been at the highest it's been since Spurrier was here.
That was a pretty high mark.
Yeah. And I think Shane's all over it, if not surpassing it, right? Recruiting's good. And I think a large part of the reason is because there are a lot of schools that coming off of a 7-5 or 6-6 or 5-7 season would have a half-empty stadium the next year. Part of the reason that Florida State fans are gushing over Mike Norvell right now is because, and I was covering the team when it happened, when Willie Taggart and co were down there, when Jimbo Fisher gave up and quit before he moved over to College Station, where he is not anymore, and Florida State was having those 6-6, 7-5 years, you could get a ticket to a Florida State game for $20. The stadium, outside of like the biggest primetime games against Florida or whoever, was half empty. More often than it wasn't. It was truly pathetic for a program that likes to consider itself amongst the blue blood programs in college football. South Carolina's not doing that. Willie B is still pumped for a game against Middle Tennessee State or whoever is coming to the house. The NIL dollars, maybe not as high as Miami's, Georgia's, Bama's, but the NIL collectives over in Columbia are on the map. They're doing work. They're there. They're showing up. That is part of the reason that I have question marks about what is happening within the program. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying I wonder what is happening. Because when you got 21 guys hitting the portal, and again, they're all going to have, every one of those guys is going to have different reasons. I think at this point, we're all convinced Antoine Juice Wells hit the portal because he is chasing the bag. It's part of the reason he's going to Ole Miss. I would make the argument that Juice Wells likely will have better individual numbers at Ole Miss than he would at South Carolina under Lane Kiffin. Jackson Dart's coming back. That's a top-notch quarterback next year in the SEC. That's a gunslinger quarterback. Juice is going to have opportunities for individual numbers that he may not have had with Lenora Sellers and Shane Beamer. I don't know. We're going to find out. But I think most of us think he was chasing the bag. Is Pup Howard chasing the bag transferring out? I don't think so. Based on the folks that I have talked to since that announcement, the understanding I have reached is that Pup Howard's leaving because he just wants to be back home. He wants to be closer to home. I have heard that this is basically a decision made by homesickness. Pup Howard is from Jacksonville, Florida. The two teams that I have heard that are the most likely landing spots for Pup Howard, Florida State and Florida. Roughly, I'm not going to say equidistant. Tallahassee's a little closer to Jacksonville, where he played his ball at Andrew Jackson High. But Florida State and Florida are the two schools I've seen as likely landing spots for Grayson Pup Howard. So, all these guys are going to have different reasons. Here's what I am going to say. If you've got kids in your program who decide that they want to head out to be closer to home, I'm going to say this with a full acknowledgement that I think that Shane Beamer is doing a fantastic job in Columbia as far as outside looking in, the culture, the environment that he has put together. If a kid says, I want to leave Columbia to go back home, what that means is you have not created a spot that feels like home for him. That is interesting considering the whole slogan behind this brand imaging for Shane Beamer in Columbia is what? Welcome home. Every time they get a transfer guy, every time they get a big name recruit, what does Shane tweet out? Welcome home. What are they telling the kids that they are recruiting around the state? Come home. This is home. Be home. 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 And Pup's not saying. The belief right now is that Pup is leaving to go back home, which means you didn't make it feel like home. Now, I am also going to say this. I don't know the guy. Pup Howard's kind of a badass. I think he played a little heavy this year. I think he probably needs to drop 15, 20 pounds and play a rangier linebacker spot. I think he played heavy. I think he tried to play a power linebacker spot, and I don't think that's as much his game as kind of slimming up and playing a ranging linebacker. That's just my opinion as a guy who knows ball. But there is the possibility that it doesn't matter what you do. Ain't no place like home, right? That you could have done everything that Pup Howard asked you to do, wanted you to do. You could have read his mind like Professor X and just gotten it all right. And he still would have said, this ain't my mama's house. I want to go home. But when you got 21 guys bailing out, it feels to me like there is something under the surface that needs to be addressed. It may, for many of them, be very simple. We're just not good. We're a 5-win football program. And a lot of guys aren't going to take into consideration that, hey, the schedule was tough this year. It's going to be even tougher next year. Or maybe that is what they're taking into consideration. The schedule was tough this year and we won 5. What the hell are we going to do next year? But the point here is when you've got 21 dudes saying, I got to go. Some of them guys like Xavier McLeod, some of those guys are going to go somewhere because they got a legitimate chance to win a natty next year at Georgia. Some of those guys are going to take off and go somewhere else. Like, what do we got? You got a kid going to Notre Dame. I think Mitch Jeter is going to Notre Dame. You got Juice Wells going to Ole Miss. That's a bag move. Guys like John Darius Morgan, he's going to UAB. You think UAB's putting more NIL money on the table than South Carolina? Hell no.
Probably not. Yeah.
He's going to UAB. Why, Lonzo? So he can play. He don't want to be a scout team guy. You think Mario Anderson going to Memphis is for the NIL bag? No. He's going to Memphis because they are a program that is featured or that is built to feature a back like him. He is going to be the dude at Memphis, and I don't think he would be in Columbia. You think
they got Elvis money in Memphis? So
they got that Graceland money.
Yeah, they might.
You think Omega Blake is going to ECU to get the bag? No, he's going to ECU.
Where's ECU?
East Carolina. Come on and raise up.
Okay, all right, okay.
He is going to ECU not for the bag. He's going to ECU because no matter what he does at South Carolina, he is capped at being a number 3 wide receiver. He's capped at being your Z receiver. At ECU, he's going to be the X receiver. He's going to be the top dog in the wide receiver room at ECU. These guys aren't leaving for the bag. They're leaving for opportunities elsewhere.
So how big of a sample size do we need? How many years will it be before we find out what the success rate of transfer portal players are?
I mean, I think you can probably start already. We're a couple of years in. I think in 2 more years, you'll really have a good clear picture of it. I think in 6 years, we'll know.
And I'm not talking about, of course.
Scratch that. I'm going to change that answer. The answer is now because Florida State just went 13-0 with a portal team.
Okay.
So the answer is now.
But
you can do it.
But I still believe, and there's research that's involved that I'm not so sure I'm qualified to do, that there's probably more people who go places and fail than there are succeed. You get your high-profile guys like Joe Burrow or someone like that transfers and wins a national championship. How often does that happen?
Every time somebody wins a national championship at this point. Bama's got transfers in. Michigan's got transfers in.
See, I can't wait till we get Shane Beamer on because I want to ask him, is coaching college football now like coaching college basketball? Because college basketball, one and done, they're going to the NBA. Do you have to have that same mentality when you're coaching college football now, that you're going to get these guys, especially these high profile guys, for 1 year?
So I want to start with this. You're casting a very broad net. There's a lot of dudes.
I'm a sturdy guy, and my net's pretty big.
There's a lot of top-notch cats who aren't transferring. A lot of guys who aren't transferring. The issue is when you have, and I'm not saying you, but the royal you here, when you feel that the transfer portal is destroying college football, then the only guys you pay attention to are the guys who transfer. But again, you can build a successful team out of the portal.
Will it be, there's a stigma to a guy in college basketball who's been there for 4 years. He's not that good. Will there become a stigma for someone who stays on a team for a couple years and doesn't transfer?
No.
Because now it almost would appear that it's kind of showing how good you are because you can go somewhere else.
Again, in the portal era, you are going to have a painful reality that guys are going to always move upwards. You know who this sucks for the worst? FCS guys.
Yeah, but moving upwards is, you just talked about a guy going to UAB. That's not an upward move.
No, but it is a move that is going to get him more PT. He is going to be a star at UAB, a star at Memphis, a star at ECU, whereas he would have been a role player, a support guy at South Carolina. And this is the interesting balance, is trying to get guys and bring them with the understanding that, as an FYI, you are by default a role player in this game. I think you are going to, down the line, I don't have anything to back this up, it's speculation for me, but I think you are going to down the line look at a bunch of teams and go, they have got Florida State this year. Fantastic starting 22, absolutely no depth behind it. Because a lot of the guys that would have been your depth guys, a lot of the guys that were your second string linebackers, second string offensive line, they went, all right, here's the deal. I can stay here and be a second string guy, a reserve guy, a pool guy, a core guy. C-O-R-P-S, not C-O-R-E. I can be a pool guy, a depth guy, or I can transfer from Florida State to ECU or UAB or USA or Texas San Antonio or whatever, and I can be a stud. Because here's the thing. If you're a backup guy in Tallahassee, you're a reserve guy in Tallahassee, you're not getting a ton of PT, you don't have a shot at the NFL. But if you go to ECU and you come down with 1,400 yards of receiving offense, you got tape. You got a demo reel. People can look at that and go, maybe we roll the dice on this guy, right? Omega Blake was going to have, let's be optimistic and say 400 to 500 yards of offense next year for South Carolina. At ECU, he's going to have 12 to 1,400 yards of offense. Speculating. 12 to 1,400 yards of offense gets you on an NFL radar. 400 to 600 max at South Carolina does not, right? So these guys are going for opportunity. But again, part of the new era of college football coaching is figuring out how do I work the portal, recruit guys who want to be here, and build depth. That is something Mike Norvell struggled with. Something that if Mike Norvell didn't struggle with, Florida State might have played for a national championship berth 2 nights ago. I don't know. 21 guys leaving South Carolina and moving on. Cam Ward is out here telling you big Twitter energy, big X energy ain't it. You got to be all in. South Carolina fans seem to be all in with the energy. They seem to be all in as far as supporting the program. So, what is happening right now in Columbia that's got 21 guys deciding they want to be elsewhere? Or is this just a matter of you recruited depth, good players going to get paid elsewhere, mediocre players going elsewhere to be a star at a lower level? How does this all look to you? 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. Text us at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN. F-A-N. FAN. F-A-M. We'll read them on the air. Carolina fans, are you concerned after Pup Howard hit the portal yesterday? 21st name in and a big one. Are you concerned about what's happening? Let's take a break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, I'm going to step away for just a minute. Got to handle actual, real, grown-up work stuff. Be right back.
From the Ingles Market Studio, the from the free
You know, you guys wanted bowls to matter again. You want bowls to go back to being great or whatever. And that's, well, I respect that. I kind of wish they would too. I said for a while, in the playoff system, bowls are irrelevant. By definition, bowls are irrelevant. If you can't win a championship, bowls by definition are irrelevant. But I think we still would like to see the best version of teams in the bowl games. How much different would, I think Florida State would have probably still lost to Georgia, but how much different does the Orange Bowl look if Florida State has the best players available for that game against UGA? I don't know. Here's the thing. There is a way to make bowls relevant again, or at least get the best version of teams in bowl games moving forward. There's a way to do it. But there are two things you aren't going to like about it. The first thing that you aren't going to like about it is that it is going to require NIL money, payment, to go from the school to the players, right? It's going to require it. I can make a scenario where the best version of teams are playing in bowl games. It's real easy to me. The way you do it is not attached that it is mandatory to the scholarship, although you could, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you're going to lose a lawsuit if you do that at some point. Ultimately, you're going to lose a lawsuit. The way you do it, and this is the part I think a lot of people aren't going to like, is you go through with the NCAA's proposal to create an FBS subdivision where the schools come through with the money, with those trusts for the players. And then what you do is, as a contractual obligation, you put into that NIL contract that gets them that trust fund money. If this team makes a bowl game, you play. Unless you are injured, you play. Now, there's going to be the situation where guys can fake injuries. Schools can say a guy is injured. But you can make some sort of contractual obligation only if the school is paying. Here's another option that you have on the table. Tim Frisbee came up with the phrase, I like it, I've been using it ever since. What? Yeah. Huh. What is it good for? No, it's not absolutely nothing. It's good for 15 practices and what? A paycheck. Florida State didn't play in that bowl game because they wanted to. They didn't play in that bowl game because they felt like they could prove something. They played in that bowl game for 15 practices, and so that the Orange Bowl cut FSU a check. If you took 20% of that check, 33% of that check, and you cut it up and distributed it to the players, now you got some guys that opted out. Maybe they don't. I still think you're going to have guys like Jared Verse, a first or second round NFL draft pick, that are going to sit out because the NFL is more important than even, 1% of X million dollars that they would get by playing. But a lot of the guys that opt out that are mid to low level picks or just lightly banged up and don't want to risk their future college career or whatever, those guys might go if they're catching a check for $50K, $60K to play in a bowl game. They might go for that. I don't know that most bowls aren't going to do that. But the Orange Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, those bowls could, right? Those bowls could. Those bowls could go to the networks. By the way, Michigan, Alabama's, though, highest watched non-NFL sporting event in 5 years. 5 years. Michigan, Alabama was the most viewed non-NFL sporting event in America. We're still paying attention. All the people that go, college football's ruined. I ain't watching no more. Yeah, you are. You're the same people that said, I'm not watching the NFL after Kaepernick. Yeah, you are.
That's a bowl game that mattered, though.
100% it is.
I mean,
I'm sorry. What I meant to say was that was the highest ranked Orange Bowl in about a decade as well.
Oh, okay. Also, probably, well, anyway.
Well, you know why people were turning into that. Because you had Georgia, who truly believes that they have been left out on one hand, and Florida State, who everybody wanted to see either prove that they deserve the spot they claim they do or get beat by 60, which is what happened.
This entire mess will be fixed next year, and there won't be any controversy at all. It will be, we'll try to forget what happened the year before, and we'll go forward, and 12 teams is plenty, and it's going to be awesome.
Well, again, I am talking about the rest of the bowls. You're right. As I've said, there are 3 bowl games that matter. We are going to be adding, what, 4 more?
Don't.
Or 6
dude, it's
more
not
games
even 8
next year?
o'clock. I'm not doing that.
8 more games. You're adding some amount of games next year, and those games will matter. So you will have more bowl games that matter. But they matter because the teams in them have an opportunity to win a natty still, right? I'm talking about the ReliaQuest Bowl, the Cheez-Its Bowl, the Pop-Tarts Bowl. First and foremost, it is very hard to convince people that those bowl games matter when you are literally selling the naming rights to them. Because if you are thinking on any level deeper than me like football, you realize those bowls are there to make money and nothing else.
There won't be another Pop-Tart Bowl because the Pop-Tarts now see what happens, that they're going to be sacrificed at the end of the game, and then we're going to sign up for that.
It might be part of the Pop-Tart culture. We don't know. Some Pop-Tart, back in the Aztec culture, it was an honor to have a member of your family selected to be sacrificed by having their heart ripped out at the top of that pyramid, right? Maybe in Pop-Tart culture, giving your Pop-Tart life to the great toaster oven is like an honor for your family, I don't know.
Some deep things to think about, for sure.
So
if you or a member of your family knows someone from the Pop-Tart family, please text us, 71307.
Very curious. Very curious. Dreams do come true. So here's the deal. As long as these bowls are getting ratings, as long as these bowls are bringing in millions of dollars, and they are, if you start cutting checks to the players, you'll get them to play. Texter says, I can already hear the pearls being clutched. Money for exchange of services? Yeah, that's it. That's what it is. I want you to entertain me with your footballing. You need to fork some cash over to those kids in that spot. That's it. That's it. That will fix it. Now the ReliaQuest Bowl gets the best version. Now the Pop-Tarts Bowl gets the best version. Now the Poinsettia Bowl gets the best version. And if they don't, this is why. You know what the best version of a sports flash is? This one.
That goes without saying. Wow, that's 1 per day. Georgia's offense will be losing a weapon as 2-time Mackey Award winner Brock Bowers has declared for the NFL draft. The tight end is currently ranked as one of the top 10 prospects overall and accounted for 714 yards and 6 touchdowns despite missing 3 games. That's pretty good. The Hornets snapped an 11-game losing streak last night as they knocked off Sacramento 111-104. Terry Rozier had 34, and Mikal Bridges had 27 in the win. Carolina Hurricanes had their first 4-game losing streak. Ended last night with a domination, 6-1 win over division-leading New York Rangers. We are your home for Furman basketball. Tune in tonight at 6:30 as the Paladins take on UNC Greensboro right here on the Fan Upstate. That's it. I quit. Oh, one line just threw me off for the entire thing. I wonder if it's recorded who the first nerd in their basement was. Why is that guy not like the symbol of?
Oh,
Stop breaking it.
I hate a sleep button.
Problem is, you know where it is and you keep hitting it.
Because it's right where I pin spin.
Maybe pin spin to your left. I don't know.
It is on my left.
I know,
which
but
is
I
my
mean-
pin spin
I mean,
hand.
Move your
I
hand.
can't
over.
pin spin with this hand.
No. I mean, move your hand this away from the keyboard.
That's the wrong password. Come on, computer. It's the wrong password. Stop spinning.
I'm guessing you can still hear Rob because the sound goes through my computer. I don't know. Is that the equivalent of not turning your mic on? Turning your stream off twice in one show?
I'm going to say no, but only because if I do, we'll be tied.
Can't blame me for trying.
Yep. Woo! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The third of 4 above average hours of sports talk entertainment starts now. Welcome back, my friends. It is the Rob Brown Radio Show. It is the Fan Upstate.
Only slightly above average.
Hey, man, strive for mediocrity.
If we stepped off the chair, we'd be stepping on average, probably.
Strive for If you reach mediocrity, you've done more than half the people.
Yeah, my goal in life is to be called mid by MJF. So, I mean, it could happen someday.
It absolutely could. We've got the connections. Taking some time off due to injury. Hey, don't forget Fight Club coming up tomorrow at 9:20 a.m. And I know that it's going to be a banger because we haven't talked wrestling in like 3 weeks. We got a lot to catch up on. We know who the devil is now, along with his cohorts. We've got the most electrifying man in sports entertainment back in the ring.
Still in people's stories.
Stealing story. He's going to finish it for the American Nightmare. So we got a lot of wrestling that we're going to talk tomorrow on the radio broadcast. Plus, Rashad Beard will be here to talk Carolina Panther football or ownership with us. We've got Emily Adams of the Greenville News who will join us to talk about the Gamecocks tomorrow on the show. Look forward to that because of the discussion that we have been having today. Lonzo, you are not just an executive producer. You are America's executive producer.
I'm talking to America here.
When someone in this great country says the words executive producer, everyone in this industry automatically thinks Lonzo.
I'm waiting for you to say something that's not true.
No.
I haven't heard anything yet.
I haven't, and I won't. You and I have been on the show together now for what? Almost 3 years or coming up on 3 years?
It's
past 3 years?
It's been 3 years because it was right around Christmas.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So 3 years now we've worked together.
When I got traded.
And in that 3 years we have been together, I think you have gone to the dump button for me 3 times. One of them
Are you saying you're going to get your one out
No.
early?
Nope,
I mean,
nope.
we're only a couple of days into 2024.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
What I am going to say is I think averaging a dump button once a year, pretty good rate. Pretty good rate.
It's not bad. It's not.
And considering one of those dump buttons is where I actually said the right word, I just said it wrong and led to the creation of the boat joke.
Oh,
it
no.
worked out pretty good.
Yeah, but you still said the word. I mean, there was proof of that.
Sorry about my language.
Yes.
There was one where I had 2 clips. One was edited, one was not. I played the one that was not. Lonzo had to dump me.
Sorry about my language.
Yeah, that one, I nearly
That
fell
one was
on my
bad.
chair
Yeah.
because I was turned the opposite direction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mad dash to get back there and push the button on that one. And there was one more. I don't remember what it was for, though.
So you actually keep track of that.
Yeah, because I'm not proud of it.
Okay.
All
All right.
That's amateurism, and we're better than that. That's what hacks do. I am a professional. So there have been 3 times. I would say a clip of about once a year needing a dump button. Pretty good rate. Pretty good rate. ESPN needed a dump button during Monday night's Sugar Bowl coverage. Why? You might ask. Well, if you weren't paying attention, you may have missed it. But during the third quarter of Washington's 37-31 win over the Texas Longhorns, ESPN came back from commercial. And because production value is important, ESPN does what a lot of sports outlets do when they are broadcasting a game, specifically in a large city. That is, they will give you some B-roll footage that they filmed within the city. You know, if they do it in Memphis, they'll show you Graceland. Second Graceland reference on the show today.
Like it very much.
If they do it in D.C., they'll show you the Washington Monument. If they do it in Dallas, they'll show you a bunch of losers. You get it. All right, that's mean. I shouldn't have said that. I should have said Miami. But if you're in Miami, they'll show you South Beach. Well, the Sugar Bowl is famously played in the great city of New Orleans, Louisiana, and
Hey, I know what they're famous for.
for many of you, and let me be very clear, you are wrong.
Rob's got a ton of beads in the office.
I very much do.
He does.
I got a ton more at the house. In fact, we put up our Mardi Gras tree last night. Actually, our Christmas tree transformed into its Mardi Gras state last night. Just a few days early. You're supposed to do it on the 6th.
Sounds like a
which is
reason
King's
to
Day.
just not take your tree down.
No, it's a Mardi Gras tree. So now we got our Mardi Gras tree up. Purple, green, and gold all across the Casa de Love. Obviously, for most of you cretins, When someone says New Orleans, the first thing that most of you think about is Bourbon Street, which is understandable. It is the primary feature that most rookies want to see when I take them to NOLA for the first time. There's so much more to the city, but that's a whole different argument. Well, ESPN decided that the B-roll they were going to show returning from commercial was just a cameraman strolling down arguably America's most famous street. And then down in the bottom right corner of the television screen was a young lady who was, as they say in the business, earning her beads. For those of you unaware with the tradition down in the NOLA on Bourbon Street, this is why I don't go to, it's not why. There's a lot of reasons I don't go to Bourbon Street. This is not one of them.
By the way, I saw earlier she's been offered $100,000 to do her own.
I have no doubt.
thing.
I have no doubt. This young lady, in earning her beads, pulled down the top of her tube top and exposed her lady bits to the world, except for she didn't know, and more importantly, ESPN didn't know, that she had done it on national television in front of the second largest college football viewing ship this year.
Sure, her parents are really proud.
I will tell you, as somebody who has been there, done that. Nobody cares.
Wait, you flashed on.
I mean, I will. I don't care.
I mean,
I left my shame many years ago.
Okay. All right.
I'm saying I have taken women to Bourbon Street before who would never, they would never until they get there, and they do.
Is that why you took them there?
No, it is not.
Did you testing a theory?
No.
So nowhere back in your mind you were not testing a theory.
I was not chesting a theory. No.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. I'm just saying.
Mr. Science Guy was not thinking,
Nope.
okay, here's a action reaction thing. And if I go here and I take the right people,
Nope. I am simply saying.
quit twirling a mustache that you would not be able to grow.
I really can't. That when in Rome. Yeah, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. All right. So I don't fault this young lady. She was living her life, having a good time. I promise you 90% of the people who witnessed that particular moment in history are going to forget the two things they saw that night. They shan't remember. They were a handful of fireball shots deep themselves. You know who did remember? Everybody who saw it on national television. And I know that because my phone immediately blew up with people like, boobies.
Probably sounded just like that.
I mean, it was a text, but it did. It did. In fact, the reason I quoted that is because in my group thread of old fraternity brothers, all of whom are now 39 or older, all of us just went, boobs, because we're all man children. Anyway, ESPN has officially apologized for showing one boob on TV. ESPN spokesperson Bill Hoffheimer said in a statement, quote, "We regret that this happened and apologize that the video aired in the telecast." So here's what I'm saying, Zoe. I may occasionally say accidentally a dirty word.
Sorry about my language.
I may occasionally play a clip accidentally that has a dirty word.
Sorry about my language.
But I've never showed my boobs on the air, so you're welcome.
Not yet, but there's always tomorrow.
There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time left. Hey, here's a fun little story out of the National Football League real quick. You remember yesterday when I said about the National Football League that Brad Allen, who was the referee in charge of the Dallas-Detroit football contest, in which the Detroit Lions scored a touchdown with 23 seconds remaining on the clock. And then they went for the win on a 2-point conversion, and they got it, or so we thought. So we thought. Then Brad Allen blew his whistle, and he turned on his microphone, and he said, "Ineligible receiver downfield, number 68 on the offense." And he said this quite a number of seconds after the play had concluded, and the Detroit Lions thought they had all but effectively won the football contest. All they had to do was kick it off, not let Dallas return it, or kick a field goal in the dying gasps of the game. Since then, Taylor Decker, who caught the pass to convert the two-point conversion from the offensive tackle position, has come out and he said, yo, I most certainly did tell the referee. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I most certainly did tell the referee that I was eligible. Brad Allen said, nuh-uh. And the NFL announced that Brad Allen would not be officiating a playoff game this year. And I said yesterday on the show, well, my goodness gracious, is that not the NFL kind of acknowledging that, yeah, we screwed up, and we know we screwed up, but there's really nothing we can do about it now. It's over. And Dallas is going to win the NFC East, and they're going to get to play 2 games at home. And if they happen to see the San Francisco 49ers lose in the first round, or the second round, I should say, then the NFC Championship game will take place in Dallas as well. And I thought, wow, them taking Brad Allen off the playoffs is kind of an acknowledgement that things got a bit squirrely. Well, yesterday, something interesting popped up. The officiating assignments for this weekend have been announced. And wouldn't you know it, Brad Allen, who was the one who screwed the pooch in the Lions-Cowboys game, Brad Allen caught his assignment for the weekend, Lonzo, and his assignment for the weekend this weekend is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, that is interesting. It is interesting for a few reasons. Number one, that game is a primetime ABC ESPN game. That game is a nationally broadcasted game. Number one. Number two, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not only playing to defeat their division rivals, but they are playing with the knowledge that a W in that game could see them into the playoffs. They're going to need a lot of help. They got to have some other chips fall where they may. And when we come back in the next segment, I'm going to give you the playoff scenarios for Week 18 in the National Football League. But with a win, the Steelers, with a little help, could find themselves in a playoff spot. And oh, by the way, you would go, wait a minute, Rob, the Ravens are super de-duper good. Except for they're already in. They're already locked in as the number 1 overall seed. The road to the Super Bowl in the AFC has been paved, and it runs through Baltimore, Maryland. And John Harbaugh has not committed and will not commit to if or how long he will play his starters in that game. Meaning that the Pittsburgh Steelers, more than likely, at least in my bold estimation, will be playing effectively the Ravens' backups in this game, which means a win is, dare I say, probable. They're going with Mason Rudolph over Kenny Pickett, by the way. So Brad Allen draws a game in which there may be dire, enormous playoff consequences. That comes a day after the NFL said Brad Allen would not be calling a playoff game. You know what this says to me? And I will fully acknowledge that I am both A, speculating, and B, reading into it. I've been told, Rob, stop reading into things, but hey, it's fun to me. I love some drama. What it says to me is the National Football League, by pulling Brad Allen from the playoffs, and then hearing people like me go, dude, just say he screwed up. Just own it. Just acknowledge that the Detroit Lions got absolutely hosed, by a bad ref making a bad call, and let's all move on. And they went, oh, no. We can't do that. In fact, we have to do the opposite. So let's make sure that this guy draws one of the top 3 most important games in the National Football League this weekend. Oh, by the way, Lonzo, I want to hear what you have to say, but I would like to also take you back to Week 13. Your Kansas City Chiefs were taking on the Green Bay Packers on the road. The Packers were up 8 points with 1 minute and 5 seconds left to be played in the football contest. Patty Mahomes and the team in red and white had the ball. They were driving the football field. They were working their way towards midfield.
From the 30, Kelsey blocks and releases. Mahomes escapes, takes off, getting to the sideline. Big hit at the line, inbounds at the 40. Jonathan Owens, and a flag is thrown. Let's see. Yep. Flag is thrown with all the contact and all the bodies over there.
Terry McAuliffe would go on after that hit to say that that flag should not have been a flag. Now, that helped Kansas City, but then there was a bit of a maybe, possibly, get-right call.
Now for Kansas City. For midfield, 1st and 10. Mahomes going to take the deep shot. Downfield, and Valdez-Scantling can't bring it in. And there's no flag there. And the Chiefs bench erupts. There are 10 players off the sideline gesturing for a flag, and there's none. 2nd down. I'm not sure how this isn't a foul, but we'll take a look. It's got to be a foul. It's got to be a foul.
Chris Collinsworth is correct. That should have been a foul against Green Bay. It would have been a pass interference. It would have given the Chiefs the football back with about 47 seconds to play inside of the Green Bay Packers 5-yard line with just 8 points separating them from a potential win. At the time, the Chiefs were still very much alive in the quest for the AFC's number 1 overall seed. Do you want to guess who the official in that game was, Lonzo?
I'm going to say some guy named Brad.
That is correct. Brad. Look at the big brains on Brad. It was Brad Allen. Brad Allen now involved in not 1, not 2, but 3 different games where a controversial call had a playoff shifting outcome based on a whistle he did or did not blow inappropriately. And the NFL said, nah, he's not in the playoffs. And we went good. And then the NFL went, oh, well, I mean, we can't not have him involved. That would say we did something wrong. And he will be calling one of the 3 most important games in the NFL this weekend. Guys, please, I'm begging you, NFL, just own it, dudes.
All right.
Just own it.
So if you're writing a script for a series, eventually you've got to have an antagonist, a bad guy show up who everybody hates, who they want gone, and you've got to highlight that bad guy. And we're at episode 19? I think it is coming up this weekend.
18. Episode 18.
Yeah. So an episode. I mean, it's a good place because you're close to the finale, but you're not quite there. And the third act, I guess some people get a little bored, and sometimes it drags in the third act. So you bring in your antagonist. He's a brief antagonist. It's like a villain of the week, except in this case, a villain of a couple weeks. And then once you move on to the final act, people are so glad that villain has been disposed of, and they can find out how the show ends this year.
I'm interested. NFL, just own it. Just own it. Hey, he got it wrong again. And we're going to take him out of the playoffs. If they would have just ended it with that, take him out of the playoffs, that's great. But then to assign him to a game that could have a dramatic impact on the NFL's playoff picture going into Week 18, not great, Bob. Not great. Speaking of the NFL playoff picture, let's take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you the playoff scenarios to keep an eye for when the NFL goes live coming up this weekend, because there are, and this is blowing my mind, Lonzo, today, 20 teams out of 32 that can win a Super Bowl this year. 20. I think there's 2 that are realistically going to, but 20 teams are alive going into the final week. That's incredible. We'll talk about it next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Can Joe Flacco
Wait. Just saying.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick head break, hitting the restroom, and then we're coming right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, dudes and dudettes, we're back. Thanks for hanging out.
Rob Brown Show. What do you want to talk about? Nothing much. What you want to talk about, Kevin? All right, hang on. Since I'm sure you don't have your screen up, it's Kevin. Yes. It's that Kevin.
That Kevin.
Not that, I mean, he's not actually on there. But yeah. Don't want to get in trouble with his boss. Adam Cole explains his shocking betrayal.
Literally was just reading that tweet. Derek Brown needs 3 more tackles to break the record for the most by a defensive lineman in a single season in NFL history.
You should get that.
Introducing Chumba Casino, the thrilling online social casino that's free to play. Head on over to ChumbaCasino.com now to join in on the fun. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is.
Coming up on a Super Tuesday episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel, Don Munson, Director of Broadcasting Clemson, will be joining us. What grade would he give Clemson's 2023 season? Graduation rates have been revealed for college football teams. Plus, previewing the national championship game and the status of American sports cities.
Number 1 for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
Read it on the
Upstate.
It is a King Momo Brown Show.
The Rob Brown Show carries on, sprinting through hour number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk NFL for just a minute. Here is what we know about our playoffs going into Week 18. We have so far the teams who have one question left to ask, which is, do I play starters this weekend? We know that in the AFC, the number 1 seed is owned by the Baltimore Ravens. We know that in the AFC, the number 3 seed is owned by the Kansas City Chiefs. We know that in the AFC, the number 1 seed is owned by the San Francisco 49ers.
NFC.
Oh, sorry. That's definitely what I said and nothing else. In the NFC, the number 1 seed is owned by the 49ers. In the AFC, the 1 seed by the Ravens, the 3 seed by the Chiefs, and the 5 seed by the Browns. Those are locked in. We know that. We also know that the Detroit Lions have clinched the NFC North. We do not know which seed they will earn in doing so. We also know that the Miami Dolphins, Philadelphia Eagles, LA Rams, and Dallas Cowboys have all clinched playoff spots, but we do not know if they will be division winners or wild cards yet. There are, as of right now, across 32 teams in the National Football League, 20 teams that are either clinched or alive for a playoff spot entering Week 18. There are 8 division titles. 4 of them are still up for grabs. Only 4 seeds are locked in. 10 are not claimed seeds, not playoff spots. But there are 10 seeds that are yet to be clinched. So, what are we looking for across Week 18 this week? Here are a bunch of the things you're going to need to pay attention to. We will start with the AFC East. There is a scenario available right now where the Buffalo Bills not only win the AFC East, but there is a possibility that the Bills win the AFC East and can be as high as the number 2 seed, which would mean that if it was to go down that way, the only place they would have to travel would be Baltimore. That means that we might finally get Patrick Mahomes at Josh Allen in the playoffs and not the other way around, which I found very interesting. By the way, the Bills come into this game against the Miami Dolphins, listed, last I checked a day and a half ago, as the odds-on favorites to win it. They remain that way now. They are -3. And Kevin, hold the line. I'm coming to you in just a minute, big dog. Over in the AFC South title is on the line, as is the number 4 seed. There's a 3-way tie for first in that division. Jacksonville has tiebreaker edges due to their having just one divisional loss over the Titans. Or excuse me, they win the division with a win over the Titans. The Texans and the Colts play Saturday. The winner will be rooting for the Titans because if Jacksonville loses that game, the winner of Texans-Colts is the division champ. C.J. Stroud, division champ in year 1, it's a realistic possibility. In the AFC, we've got the wildcard spots, 2 wildcard spots, the 6 and 7 seeds, both unclaimed. The Bills, the Dolphins, the Jags, the Texans, the Colts, and the Steelers are all eligible for those spots. The winner of Texans-Colts is going to get at the very least a wild card spot. The Jags are not guaranteed a wild card spot with an L. The Dolphins are guaranteed a wild card spot if they lose on Sunday, but they could win the division if they beat the Bills. The Bills are in the playoffs with a loss if the Steelers or the Jags lose, or the Texans-Colts game is a tie. I love rooting for a tie on Week 18. It's fun. The Steelers are also in the mix. We told you about them earlier. The Steelers are in with a win and a Bills loss, a Jags loss, or a Texans-Colts tie. They're also in with a Jags loss and a Broncos win as long as Texans-Colts isn't a tie. We have the NFC East with the Eagles loss this past weekend against Arizona with the controversy in the Dallas-Detroit game leading to a Cowboys dub. The Cowboys now win the division with a win over Washington, but if they lose and the Eagles win, the Eagles can still take the division back. The 2 seed is up in the air. The NFC South title and the 4 seed is up in the air. If the Buccaneers beat the Panthers this weekend, they win the division. If the winner of Falcons Saints sees Tampa lose, then they will win that division. There's about 1 million different scenarios that could play out there. It's going to be interesting. And then, of course, we got a bunch of teams, the Packers, the Vikings, the Seahawks, the Saints, the Bucks, the Falcons, the Bears, not the Bears. The Bears are the key here for that last NFC wildcard spot. Week 18 is going to be chaos, and I'm going to give you some more of those scenarios as we roll through the show. But my dog, Kevin, has been kind enough to hang on the phone line, wants to jump on the air. Kev, what's up, big fella?
What's up, Rob? What's up, Zoe? Thanks for having us on. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, buddy.
Hey, man, on the thing of the NFL being rigged, it's not rigged. What if refs, what if they are biased? I mean, they can be fans themselves,
Yeah, and listen, I don't know where Brad Allen is from. I'm sure if I deep dive it, I could probably find out. And again, with Brad, the guy that is at the limelight of all this, Kev, the interesting thing is he's got 3 games this year where a call or no call maybe cost the team a game. The Chiefs may or may not have scored from 4 yards out.
By the way,
the 2-point conversion.
Brad, born in Lumberton, North Carolina, went to UNC at Pembroke.
And that's why he's the executive producer, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, you're right. Listen, and in fact, what was it? There was a couple of years ago where there was a ref that was calling a game and the game got a little squirrely. And then like a day later, some fans found a picture of him wearing a hoodie of the team that benefited from a couple of calls, and there was controversy. I know it's tough to do, but here's my thought, Kev. You're a billion-dollar organization. You have people every year paying hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to enjoy your product. You've got people in Vegas putting hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars onto sports books, making bets with the expectation that the referees are there to enforce the rules, not change the game. If you can't get people, it's like jury duty. Part of the reason that in jury duty, both the prosecution and the defense attorneys get the opportunity to screen potential jurors. If you can't come up with a group of dudes wearing black and white stripes that fans don't look every 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 games and go, well, that seems screwed up, then you got a big problem, in my opinion.
I mean, look, Zoe, sorry about the offsides call, but that was a straight legit penalty. But the whole slogan, Buffalo versus everyone, that's where it comes from.
And by the way, Kevin, if it's called consistently throughout the game, that's fine. And he was offsides. I mean, there's no doubt. But they weren't calling it before. They waited till a pivotal moment to do it, and that's why it's so controversial.
Same with the Eagles and the Bills. They had a pivotal moment. They called a penalty against the Bills, but Josh Allen didn't run to the refs crying.
Yeah, no, you're right, Josh. Kev, pardon me. Appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks for checking in, buddy.
He forgot your name, Kevin.
No,
that's because your insignificant comment at the end of your call.
It's because he said
when you talked about whining.
He said Josh Allen, and my man crush kicked in.
Is that what?
And all I could think about was Josh Allen.
Is that what it was?
By the way, did you see Kirk Cousins before the Minnesota game Sunday night?
No. Was he dripping? What was he?
Oh, yes and no. They had Kirk bang the drum for the skull clap that they do. He and his boy came out shirtless to do the skull clap. Kirk flexed on the entire stadium that night. Came out without the tarp to bang the drum for the Vikings and blow the war horn.
Sometimes if you can, you should. I mean,
Also, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Minnesota's pregame it's the best in the NFL. I mean, it's cool, dude. The skull clap with the drum, the war horn to get everybody fired up. Like, I've seen a lot of them. Jacksonville, the Jaguars zip-lining into the stadium from the lights. The Saints with the Who Dat chant, always led by a Saints legend. Like, there's some good ones. Minnesota's skull clap and war horn is without question the absolute coolest pregame lineup in the National Football League. And then they sent out Kirk shirtless to do the chant. It's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. All right, we got to run to a break. When we come back, we are going to take a look at I know it's early. I know there's still 2 days to go. I don't care. I'm excited. It's the final week of the NFL season. When we come back here in just mere moments from now, let's take a look at some of the games coming up this weekend in the National Football League. Let's have a little chat about what could and couldn't happen and what we expect to happen. That's coming up next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Oh, this is the...
I'm happy for you, but I mean, it's like you threw it 2 feet.
I know, but like...
No, I see it. I see it. You had to put a little English on it.
It's like, you're shooting from 3 feet, but Shaq's in the way. It's going to be real tough.
That's okay. I got you. Wow, the Sports Flash guys really going at the Panthers.
David Tepper's net worth is estimated at $20.6 billion, defined as the equivalent of someone who makes $60,000 a year paying 87 cents.
So, who do they think they're fooling publicly into thinking it's a big? I mean, I think your average person is thinking 300,000. That's a lot of money.
Anybody with a concept of what a billion is immediately went, that's dumb.
From the News Talk 98.9 WRB Traffic Center, I'm Lloyd Houston on the fan. Upstate. Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank members of FDIC terms and conditions apply. Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Rare, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate
So I got dressed in the dark this morning. The reason I'm telling you that is
That sounds like the beginning of stand-up. I mean,
I pulled on, and I had just barely woken up. Got dressed in the dark, and the fiance has for her t-shirts when she wears them, she wears a men's undershirt, like a very small men's undershirt underneath it. I grabbed one of her men's undershirts, which is like a medium at best. So I'm rocking a very small men's undershirt under the hockey jersey. And the problem is it keeps coming up. So the band is around the gut and I keep having to pull it down.
oh no, a midriff with the, oh man, those things need to be open.
I got a bros crop top on right now.
I think you should show everybody.
Wildly uncomfortable.
I think we all want to see that, don't we?
Wildly uncomfortable.
You can just take it off right now.
Zach, no, you do not start CMC because he is not playing this weekend. You absolutely do not start him. You will get zeros for him.
There you go.
He is not playing at all.
That's why he's on BetQL.
Which stinks, and it is also the reason that I will not play in a fantasy league that has its Super Bowl in Week 18. Because this happens. Yeah, I don't know what you want me to tell you, buddy. I was tired and it was dark, all right? And by the time I put it on, by the time I realized what I'd done, I already had the hockey jersey on. And at 3:50 in the morning, I was like, no, I'm not changing.
So you know what this says? That normally his shirts are that tight. So because you didn't notice the difference right away. How do you not notice the difference right away?
Because it was 3:45 and dark.
Yeah, but something tight is tight. So you didn't complain about being tight. You just complained about that band around it. That's all. She's really going to be mad when she finds out you stretch that shirt out.
Yeah, I'm going to be buying her a new set of Kirkland small men's undershirts is what's going to be happening. No, I'm coming to that, Zach, in the last hour.
Sure he is.
I am. It's on the rundown.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. I think it's the first item on the rundown.
Yeah, I stopped looking at those. They're not consistent.
They're not. I do them different every day.
It's like
they're always done. They're just always differently.
It's like an email from someone down the hall. There's an important part in there somewhere. That's always the part that you don't read.
One day I will find a format that I like and I'll stick with it. Wrapping up hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. We started talking NFL playoff picture just a minute ago. Let's continue and take a gander at what the schedule looks like. We mentioned that Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, Brad Allen going to be on the officiating Chiefs position in that one at 4:30 on Saturday. We do have NFL Saturday football this weekend. Pittsburgh at Baltimore, 4:30 on Saturday. Baltimore already locked in, already the number 1 seed. John Harbaugh has not and will not commit to playing or not playing starters in this one. I got to tell you, I suspect you'll probably get preseason caliber. You'll get 2-3 series to give them the chance to keep the timing set since they're going to be taking a week off as the number 1 seed.
Yeah, because you don't want to take 2 weeks off because it might mess with a lot of stuff.
I mean, listen, Lamar and Zay Flowers were already kind of a little bit wobbly here and there in that game last week. You don't want them to have 2 full weeks without running competitive snaps. It's a long time when you're timing based. The good news is I feel like Lamar is less of a timing based, precision route based quarterback than a lot of guys are. I think the week off does not hurt Lamar's passing game as much as it would like a guy like Joe Burrows, right? So I don't think this is the worst thing in the world, which is why I suspect you'll see 1, maybe 2 series out of the starters, 3 at the absolute most, and that's going to be it. You do have, however, Saturday evening at 8:15 p.m., a game that does have massive ramifications. Houston is at Indianapolis. Why does that matter? Because it is an AFC South weekend. That division is not only still up for grabs, but it is up for grabs between 3 teams. The Houston Texans, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are all in line to win the AFC South. The winner of that game will have a track, but they will be the biggest Derrick Henry fans in America on Sunday at 1 o'clock when the Jags travel to Nashville, Tennessee to take on the Tennessee Titans, because if Jacksonville knocks off Tennessee, they win the AFC South. If Tennessee knocks off Jacksonville, the winner of Houston, Indianapolis wins the AFC South. So that game matters a lot. It is not a division championship game, but it is a division championship game if Jacksonville wins the next day. Jacksonville beat Carolina this past weekend, but Jacksonville did not look great in doing it, with the exception of Travis Etienne and CJ Beathard, and only because I wanted to say his name on the air. With the exception of those 2 cats, they did not look great. They did not look great. They looked okay at best. So that game could be a division matchup or a division championship. Cleveland's at Cincinnati. The Browns are already in. The Browns actually one of 4 teams that are locked into a playoff seed right now. They are the 5 seed out of the AFC. They are in for sure. Joe Flacco in the game. Can I tell you my NFL dream? Joe Flacco and the Browns on the road, AFC championship game in Baltimore with Joe Elite Flacco having the opportunity to knock the Baltimore Ravens out of the Super Bowl. Do you know how hard I will be rooting for Joe Flacco? By the way, I don't know if you know this.
I am not acknowledging this dream.
No. You're a Joe Flacco guy now. Let me tell you why. You will be in 13 seconds.
All right, but Kansas City's not in this scenario, so I cannot acknowledge this.
If that scenario happens, here's why you'll be a Joey.
Oh, I'm definitely rooting for anybody over Baltimore because their stinking owner took them when they were the Cleveland Browns and moved them to Baltimore in the night because he's a coward, and people have driven thousands of miles to pee on his grave.
Light him up! Light his ass up!
So, Joe Flacco.
I hold grudges. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, no, we got it.
Yeah.
You know how Kirk Cousins a couple of years ago when he was in Washington kind of got a catchphrase over when he was walking down the hallway after a surprise upset win, and he said, "You like that?" And everybody started saying, "You like that?" Joe Flacco has gotten a catchphrase over in Cleveland right now. Every time he throws a touchdown pass, do you know what he has been saying that everybody in Cleveland has bought into now? There he is. When he hits guys with tutties, the response he hits them with now is he rolls up and he goes, "There he is. There he is."
You know, there's something about seeing something that you've been saying written on the screen that in my current state where I just haven't gotten something and now I finally do.
Which part? Where Zach said he didn't just say CJ beat hard.
Yeah, that's the
Rob,
one.
you have issues. God bless your fiance. LOL.
That's the one. Yeah.
Hey, she's been with me 3.5 years now.
I'm not sure maybe if I should have dumped that or not. But anyway.
Nah. I'm saying he goes out there. He pounds the rock, man. You know? He beats the defense. He pounds the rock. CJ beat hard. It's a great name. It's a great quarterback name. Great quarterback name. What were we talking about? You threw me off my game here, Zach. Oh, playoff pictures. That's right. That's right. Atlanta's at New Orleans. Potentially a de facto NFC South championship game. If the Saints win that game and Tampa Bay loses to Carolina.
Before that, you were pointing out why I would be a Joe Flacco fan.
There he is.
Yeah.
Because he's a Rob Brown show guy.
Is that it?
Yeah. There he is.
He fell asleep, dude. I mean, of course,
my man's 41 years old. He's tired.
By the way, that's why I would root for him.
Yeah.
Because other than I want him to beat Baltimore and I want them to lose in the first round, which they can't. But in the second round,
last week after a drive, the camera caught Joe Flacco on the sideline, and 100% at some point in the last week, he said, "I wasn't sleeping. I was just resting my eyes." 100% chance that's what he said.
Yeah, he was off. So, yeah.
My dude was, seconds away from snoozing it up on the bench.
As an elderly person myself, he's my hero.
Yep. As a dude who has absolutely leaned back in this chair, shut the eyes, and had just not this chair, a chair in general.
Yeah, because now people are like, he would know he has never fallen asleep on the show because that would be a bad idea for him.
Correct.
Because I was scared of crap out of him.
Also correct. But as somebody who has absolutely mastered the art of the sitting up chair nap, I respect the hell out of Joe Flacco for that.
I used to do that in physics class. Just,
The only problem with the sitting up chair nap is when that head kind of falls back a little bit.
Yeah.
But then you're awake. That's like Red Bull.
Yeah, but you don't have a head my size.
That's true.
It hurts
Lonzo's
really
head
bad.
falls backward. He's taking the chair with him.
Oh no, it's whiplash, dude. It hurts.
Tampa Bay is at Carolina. Tampa wins that game. They win the NFC South. Tampa loses that game. New Orleans beats Atlanta. New Orleans wins the NFC South. Tampa loses to Carolina. New Orleans loses to Atlanta. Tampa wins the NFC South. Both of those games will be taking place at 1:00 in the evening. By the way, Green Bay can still get in. A win over Chicago, a loss by New Orleans, and I think there's one more they got to have, and they are in as well. Philadelphia's got to win this weekend, and they've got to have Dallas lose. Those two games are taking place at the same time as well. Keep in mind that we don't have staggered afternoon games. We have got 6 games at 1 p.m., we have got 7 games at 4:25 p.m., all of them kicking at the same time. And then we do have the Sunday night football game, which is Buffalo at Miami. Buffalo wins, they win the AFC East. There is a path for them not only to win the AFC East, but to earn the number 2 overall seed, which could set them up for a second-round collision with the Kansas City Chiefs, potentially. And that one would be in Orchard Park, would be in Buffalo, would be in New York. Yes, please. Give me another Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes showdown, but this time put it on Josh's turf.
As long as Brad's not there reffing the game.
Brad! Damn it, Brad! Brad Allen. You never want to have your name known as a referee. The one job you want to be anonymous when you retire. Except Ed Hockley. Famous for medium shirts with extra large sleeves.
Guns, man.
Guns Hockley. Guns Hockley, the only referee I know, and it's not because he sucked at his job. Guns Hockley. Ladies and gentlemen, it is if we have transferred this show to Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Why? Because Lonzo is about to sports flash you.
Hey, you're welcome.
That was good segue.
You're welcome.
That was good.
That's sleep times 3. If you know, you know. David Tepper may have had the most expensive drink in history after a video of the Carolina Panthers owner throwing a drink into a Jacksonville fan last Sunday went viral. Rob probably thinks you should do that because it's Jacksonville. Tepper has been fined $300,000 as a punishment along with a reprimand for his actions. Tepper said in response that he is passionate about the team but accepts the discipline.
Do you throw a drink on a whole city?
Yeah. After controversy in the conclusion of the Dallas versus Detroit game, the NFL has sent, no matter how bad you mess me up, it won't be as bad as last time. The NFL has sent a memo to all teams reminding them to make sure their eligibility is clearly communicated to officials. We are your home for Furman basketball. Tune in tonight, 6:30, as the Paladins take on UNC Greensboro, right here on your home for Furman Sports, the Fan, upstate. So there's a sleep button on Rob's keyboard, and he keeps dropping his pen on it. So if you want to know why he keeps disappearing, and that's 3 times today, because he keeps dropping his pen on his sleep button. I have to talk to engineering and see if they can get, well, no, it's on his laptop. I don't know how you fix that. You put tape over it or something? Or the thing that you could do is like stop twirling your pen. But he ain't gonna do that. So yeah. Yeah, Zach, ask your question. I've got thousands of answers, all of which may not pertain to your question. Wow. It's like we just heard this. I can't take his pen. He says he's never been in a fight before. You try to take his pen, he's going to fight.
I'm not trying to ruin the streak. I'm Oppo Goldberg.
Here's how I deal with it, Zach, is I'm crazier than he is. You may not be able to tell. I have dealt with difficult hosts before.
I'm not one.
He's I mean, he has moments, as we all do, but he's not one.
I think I am.
When you escape prison or you're let out and you're free, you appreciate your freedom, but you always remember your time spent, in the joint. Just ask Dirty Dom, he'll tell you about it. And if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, I'm not explaining it. We'll say I've been free for, a little over 3 years. And now I stop. And you have no idea how truly crazy I am. A couple people here have seen glimpses. But there are varying degrees of crazy. I mean, some crazy is, crazy violent. There are other crazies that are just like, dude, what is wrong with him? I'm probably closer to that one. Nicknames as a teen, preteen, loony, goofy, silly. Never takes anything serious. We got to get that guest. We've got to get that guest on StreamYard. I prefer studio, but that's not going to happen. But
I 100% prefer.
Yeah, well, because he won't be in town for that.
Come in here on a Saturday and record it.
There's also,
Or we go there and record it.
well, I was going to say, there's also this thing, if that thing happens again that we were a part of 2 years ago, and we were live on location on a Saturday night, if that happens again, if we could get him on that live, that would be awesome. No, I don't think he twirls his pen in his sleep. I wouldn't know though. I'm just guessing that he doesn't do
I
that.
do it when I sit at the desk in the office.
No, I know that because it drops quite a few. So if I fall asleep, the dropping pin is going to wake me up more than likely. We do keep it low toned in there. So, I mean, if you want to nod, you can nod.
The final hour of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 60 minutes of sports talk, entertainment excellence starts right now. Great to have you. I am Rob Brown, the great Malonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM. If you'd like to be a part of the radio broadcast, now is a spectacular time to do it. You can do so by giving us a buzz on the phones at 844-326-3663. You can text us on the text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. Texter said, Joe Flacco is the only sleepy Joe that I acknowledge.
Well done. Well done.
It's a good joke.
Surprised you read it, but that's, I mean, good
joke.
Good job.
That's a good joke. All right. Quality of joke matters. I am going with quality of joke, and that's a good one. Texter said, I'm shocked that ESPN wasn't abreast of the situation before they came back. Also a good joke. Also a very good joke. I appreciate it. Texter said, I thought it was beautiful to see the city's people nestled in the bosom of the French Quarter. You guys are just killing it right now. Just killing it right now.
I think Chris was listening to the show and he's just sending all these texts.
One of them I don't know. One of them I do. One of them is one of our P1. I don't know the other number, but those are great jokes. Great jokes. Let's see. What else do we have on the text line? 71307. Oh, here we go. Texter said about the South Carolina transfers. 21 players enter the portal for the Gamecocks. Now, keep in mind, before you all start to panic. I should probably stop. Lonzo's got a headache. That didn't help.
No, that's my fault. I had it up way too loud, so I did that to myself.
Okay. All right, before you all start to panic, let me remind you that players are allowed to enter the transfer portal,
All right,
but
you
then
could stop
remove themselves from it.
Just let it run out. I mean,
Okay, I'm done. That's enough of that.
it's just a hard thing to talk over.
Hot as fish grease, bro.
So guys can go in the portal and come back out. We'll see if that happens. But 21 guys go into the portal. And I asked the question to the Gamecock fans in our listening and viewing audience. How concerned are you? Level of 1 to 10. How concerned are you? The fact that you had nearly 24 players decide that they do not want to be a part of this program moving forward.
What were your expectations for next season? Does that factor into how concerned you are?
I think it has to. Now, the setup that I had for the conversation was this. This says to me when there are 21 players, not just 21 players, but a handful of good players. Juice, Mario, Stone, Pup. When you get it, when you got a
all the people with the nickname are leaving.
When you got a one name nickname, you a dog, man. You a dog. Juice.
What did we say? As mono. When you're known by one name.
Monosyllabic.
No. I thought it was something else, but that works.
Whatever. Point is, if you got a nickname that's one name, Juice, Mario, I mean, that's his actual name, but you get it. Pup, Stone, that's also his actual name, but it's dope. Stone Blanton's a great linebacker nickname.
It is. We'll see if it
Great
translates to the NFL someday. If so, he needs to play for Detroit.
It fit real well. It fit in Green Bay, too. When you got a name like that, you're good. Anyway, point is here. When you got 21 guys that are going in, when you got a handful of guys that are good football players going in, and on top of all that, Pup is a guy that South Carolina fans were calling this past recruiting cycle the best recruiter that South Carolina had. That dude was getting kids excited. And then he decides to leave. Now, again, from what I'm being told by people that are close to and covering the team, this was Pup Howard left Florida. He's from Jacksonville. He thought that he was going to be good. He left. He came to South Carolina. You're a solid 7.5, 8 hours away from Jacksonville. And he decided, nah, dog, I kind of want to be closer to the house. I kind of want to be closer to the crib. I miss my folks. It's understandable. But at the same time, I'd also say there's a imperative requirement of coaches at the collegiate football level to create a scenario, to create a conversation, to create a situation, I should say, where people go, this is home. This is home, right? I will tell you that Greenville, South Carolina is the furthest I have ever lived from home. And I will tell you that when I got here, once I started meeting people and getting here in the office and working and making my way into the sports scene here in the upstate, there was a solid 6 months, 7 months where I was going, did I screw up? Did I make the wrong decision? Am I too far from home? And then eventually this place has become home to me.
I thought you were going to say making your way downtown. I was just,
way downtown.
it was so close.
Homebound.
Which you do quite a bit. And that probably added to you staying because how much time you spent downtown and, you know,
yeah,
with the sporting events that are going on down there and all that kind of stuff.
Staring blankly ahead, making my way through
the
crowd.
I don't apologize for this. I don't.
And I need you, and I miss you, and now I want. Okay, it's Vanessa Carlton.
Well, yeah, we'll jam out in the office later.
If I could fall into the sky. Okay, that's enough of that. Point here is I made it home. There is a requirement for college coaches to make kids feel like they are at home in the program. 3 styles of recruiting nowadays in college football. Recruiting 1, get them out of high school to your program. Recruiting style number 2, get them out of the transfer portal to your program. Recruiting style number 3, keep them in your program. You got to recruit kids you've already recruited, and you got to do it every single year. And my question mark is Shane not doing that, A? B, is he not making it feel like home despite all the welcome home, come home, stay home stuff that they have made a brand lately? Is Shane failing to make players feel like they are at home, at least enough to make them want to stay there? Those are the question marks. And I think it's fair to ask those questions at this point. Again, I want him to stay. I hope he stays. I think everything's great. But I think it's fair to ask the questions at this point. Texture said, a lifelong Gamecock fan. I'm used to us sucking it up year after year. If we win, great. How about those Lady Gamecocks? Yeah. I saw yesterday on Reddit, somebody in the South Carolina Gamecock Reddit said, cancel the football program and give all the money to Dawn. She's the only reason we're relevant right now. It's like, I don't know. Your baseball team's pretty good too, you know? Transfer some money. What if they shut down the football program, transferred all the NIL money to baseball? You think a fan base would go? All right, no, that's stupid. Shut up. Texter said, Rob, I am very concerned. Any chance all these players are transferring because Beamer refuses to remove coaches that obviously can't develop talent? Hey, man, it's like we said. There are absolutely spots that I am wondering if Shane is coming up short. And building a staff is one of them. How do y'all grade Dow Loggins' first year as OC? I say a C, right? Like middle of the road. It was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was just kind of was what it was.
Not as bad as some people said it would be, though.
I agree.
I
agree. What about the defensive side of the football? What about Clayton White? I'll tell you, that's a spot I think you need to make a change. And a lot of these guys that are leaving,
pretty
Xavier McLeod,
sure
Stone
I
Blanton,
just saw he got an extension. Maybe
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you look at the guys that are leaving. You got a lot of defensive guys that are leaving. Your linebacker, you went from having maybe one of the better linebacker cores in the SEC next year to maybe one of the worst next year with a couple of guys leaving. Is there a chance that is a part of it? That there are guys like Pup and Stone that went, I can't get better here, right? I can't get better here.
I just wonder if this conversation is happening on radio stations across the country when their team is losing a bunch of players, because it's happening everywhere.
21 guys is a lot of guys. I don't care if there's a lot of teams losing 21 guys. That's a lot of guys to lose. Now, transfer portal is a zero-sum strategy. Every L is somebody else's dub. Every time a Stone Blanton leaves, there's another team that gets a Stone Blanton. Every time a Pup Howard leaves, there's another team that gets a Pup Howard. But when you got 21 guys leaving, it's not just them. It's McLeod. It's all these other cats. It's Omega Blake. When you got all these guys leaving, and again, all of them have different reasons. Some of them, in my opinion, very, very valid, right? If genuinely the reason that Pup Howard is leaving is to go back home to Jacksonville so he can be by his mama, I'm not going to hate him for that, right? If a kid just says, I tried it, it's not for me, I want to be home, I miss my mama, I'm not going to fault that guy. Not in the least. I understand that. That was one of the big things for me when I came here is, dude, I'm going to be 8 hours from my mom. That's a long way away from mama. I ain't a mama's boy, but I miss my mama, right? Ain't nothing wrong with that. On the flip side, there are other guys. Omega Blake is an example I leaned on earlier, right? Omega Blake's going to ECU. Do you think he's going to ECU because he's going to get the bag? No, not at all. He probably, even as the Y or Z receiver, would have probably made more as an NIL guy in Columbia than he would in ECU. He's not going to ECU for the bag. He's going to ECU because in Columbia, he's a number 3 receiver. At ECU, he's number 1. He will be the feature wide receiver for the Pirates. That's why he's going. You got a kid going to UAB. I've been to the University of Alabama, Birmingham. I've been to games there. I used to do some stuff for their program a long time ago at my old network, which had a station in Birmingham very briefly. I promise you, a kid going from South Carolina to UAB is not going because he's got all the NIL dollars coming his way. He's going to UAB because he is going to go from being a reserve depth guy, a guy who's in on occasional specific plays that highlight his specialty, to an every down defensive lineman, and one of the better ones. These guys ain't going for the bag. These guys are going because they're getting PT. And my question mark is, do you look at that? And I think it's fair to look at that and go, that just kind of is what it is, right? A guy like Omega Blake leaving to go to ECU where he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver, that just kind of is what it is. That's not a guy going for the bag. That's a guy going for PT. You can't fault him for it. Or you can. I don't know. It's up to you. Well, they didn't transfer. Right. Because they didn't have a choice. Now they do. And these guys are some of them. Now there are guys like Juice Wells. Juice Wells is going to Ole Miss because he's getting a bag. Without a doubt, he's going to get a bag. And here's where it gets dicey. I don't think Ole Miss is going to have so much money floating around that it's like they're going to be able to outbid South Carolina for all the guys. But they can do it for a specialty guy, A, and B, and this is where the football side of it does come back into play. Can Juice Wells be more successful with Jackson Dart and Lane Kiffin than he can with Lenora Sellers and Shane Beamer? And the answer is yes.
Well, if he decides to play, he could.
Oh, he's going to play.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we know that for sure. Someone might make him mad or something, and I don't know.
I don't think he didn't play in South Carolina because somebody made him mad. I think he didn't play at South Carolina for a handful of games because he was banged up, especially after the Georgia game. I think maybe he could have come back late in the season, but at that point, that mind got made up, and it's like, why am I going to go out there and risk my ability to go to Lane's squad and make the bag if I blow my knee out again late in the game that, frankly, doesn't matter at this point?
Yeah, we'll see. I hope he's healthy, and I hope he gets to play a lot, and I hope he fulfills all his dreams. But
we'll see.
He consistently hasn't done that yet.
So that being said, Gamecock fans, are you concerned? Are you worried? Is there something that jumps out at you that goes, okay, there's something wrong here. There's an issue here. There's something wrong that we got to deal with here, because 21 guys taking off is a lot of dudes that are taking off. Some of them with, I think, very valid reasons. Guys going to UAB, ECU, Memphis, like Super Mario Anderson. Those guys are going to be stars at those schools like they cannot be in South Carolina. Can't do it.
Isn't South Carolina, don't they have a pretty good recruiting class coming in?
Sure do.
And
recruiting's been good.
Doesn't Shane have a pretty good record of at least getting them in for a season through the transfer portal?
Yep.
Because that's how you build teams nowadays.
And that's part of the conversation. You could absolutely say to me, Rob, I'm not worried about it. And I'm not worried about it because we got the best recruiting we've had going on since Steve Spurrier was here. Shane has worked the portal very, very well. Again, Florida State scenario. Florida State had a bunch of dudes take off after Willie Taggart got left go. Here comes Mike Norvell from Memphis. He shows up, and what's he start doing? Oh, the portal's a thing. Let me focus on that. All Mike Norvell did was build a team that should have been in the college football playoffs this year. That's all he did. I don't think Florida State fans are super concerned about what's happening right now with this many guys opting out and transferring. They're looking and going, all right, Norvell figured it out. He figured out how to get guys out of the portal. He figured out how to get guys who want to be here to be contributors. We trust them to do it again. So I don't know. All of that being said, question mark for you Gamecock fans. Scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you and why? Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, I told you earlier in the show, the Atlanta Bravos made a move. The Atlanta Braves made a move the other day. They got a pitcher, older pitcher, history of injuries with this pitcher. But when he's healthy, one of the most dominant pitchers. I got football on my screen still. One of the most dominant pitchers in Major League Baseball. So why this move and why pay so much for him? We'll figure it out. I'll tell you when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. Wait for it. And the fan upstate. Making my way into the crowd. Now put it in queue and finish the song.
Yeah, but then it will be, I already turned it off. And it would have been on stream. I only played a few seconds on stream, and I took it off stream because, flagging and all that kind of stuff. Then? So you're going to get us flagged.
No, I'm not. It'll be all right. Just talk over it.
You can talk. No, you plan on singing over it.
You can sing. You're not going to get flagged for singing.
Yeah, I'm not going to sing because my head hurts.
And I'm homebound.
Oh, we can turn that down. Who wants to hear that?
Ahead, making my way through the crowd. The song's a banger. I don't care what anybody says. This song rocks.
I love this song, by the way.
And I miss you. Oh, no, needs you first. And then I miss you. And now I wonder.
It's not Michelle Branch, dude.
It's Vanessa Carlton. Into the sky. Do you think time would pass me by. Oh, 'cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you
Normally he would sing it in that voice.
tonight.
You know why this is a banger? Because of the piano, man. That's why.
I wonder if you ever think of me. I heard a very rock and roll version of the song once, and it kicks.
Did they take the piano out?
Yeah, it's like a guitar now. It's super dope.
Piano's my favorite part of the song.
'Cause I need you, and I miss you, and now I wonder if I could fall.
No, if it was, he'd be using his AC/DC voice doing it, and then he would blow your mind.
Would pass me by. Oh, 'cause you know I'm walking.
You know, we're going to get flagged, and Diesel's going to get all upset.
Hey, Dyke.
Why did we get flagged for Vanessa Carlton? All right, that's not bad. You might be right. All right, I like
dope,
it.
right?
I like it.
Yeah.
You're right. I didn't want to like it.
It's a band called Our Last Night.
All right, we're coming back.
That part.
That's nice. That is nice. You're right.
It only works because he's playing it on a 12-string electric.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now that football season is coming to its conclusion-ish, we have one more college football game. And then we have 3 weeks of NFL playoffs and then the Super Bowl. And then we're done. That sucks. I don't like it. I don't like it. That's terrible. I hate it. Anyway, it is almost, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost baseball season. And your boy.
Wait. How long is the off season for baseball? Like 2 months?
6 weeks.
Okay. It's not really. I mean, come on.
No, it's March 30th this year is opening day.
You're not going to start reporting on the fruit league, whatever. I can't remember what fruit.
The Grapefruit League.
Yeah, I knew it was some
And the
sort of
Cactus
fruit.
League.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we might. We'll see how it goes. Seeing how I
I
how I
can't
feel
wait
about
for
it.
that.
Pitchers and catchers report because we all love baseball on Valentine's Day. Oh,
Do we? You don't speak for me.
you don't love Valentine's Day or baseball?
Neither.
Fair.
Valentine's Day is a manufactured Hallmark holiday.
It's a great holiday.
It's manufactured, made just so people can be guilted into giving gifts.
I give the gift of my love.
Do you?
My love.
Okay. All right.
Baseball season's not too long away, and the Atlanta Bravos have been sitting back and watching the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are quickly becoming their primary rivals in the National League. Sorry, everybody else in the NL East, specifically New York Mets. You're irrelevant. It's the Phillies, the Braves, the Dodgers, and maybe the Diamondbacks. We'll find out. Point here is Atlanta last year was very disappointed that they did not make it out of the NL divisional round, taking an L, taking a beat down at the hands of the Philadelphia Phillies. Well, one of the things that many folks, me, have been saying that the Braves need to do to get ready for next year is they got to boost the starting pitching, my dudes. Now, a lot of injuries that banged this staff up. A lot of guys missing months at a time last year. It was a rough spot, but hey, the Braves end up winning the division. There's not much more you can ask for. Problem was when they got into the divisional round after catching a bye in the wild card round, they just did not have the depth to go 1v1 with the Philadelphia Phillies. So what did they do? Well, they went out and they got Chris Sale out of Boston. They sent the 23-year-old Vaughn Grissom, a blossoming infielder, up to Beantown in order to bring Chris Sale down. And the question mark was, why? Why would they make this move? Chris Sale is no spring chicken. Chris Sale is, I think, 31, 32 years old. He's a bit of a older guy. 34, pardon me. He's an older guy. As a 38, almost 39-year-old, ouch. But in baseball years, especially in pitching years, 34 is getting on up there, right? So why would you go get a 34-year-old pitcher who has got a history of injuries and send up Vaughn Grissom, a young blossoming infielder with a bat that has been coming alive the longer he's been in the show? The answer is multifold. I'm going to start with number one, Vaughn Grissom himself. Good infielder. Problem is, you're locked up in the infield. Last year, the Atlanta Braves sent all-stars at 7 of 9 defensive positions. The Braves sent all-stars to 7 of 9 positions last year. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? The entire infield went to the all-star game. Now, Vaughn Grissom would give you some spectacular depth, but having a guy like that sitting on the pine waiting to do some spot duty here and there outside of the ability to allow guys like Ozzie Albies to catch a breather every now and then, you got nowhere to put the dude, right? You got nowhere to put the dude. So, it makes sense. You have a surplus of riches in the infield right now. Vaughn Grissom was a good problem to have. He's too good, but we got nowhere for him. So he becomes a wonderful bit of trade bait. And that's exactly what happened. So why a 34-year-old Chris Sale? A guy with a history of injuries. The answer has nothing to do with Chris Sale. That has little to do with Chris Sale. He's good. When he's on, Chris Sale's one of the better pitchers in the league. When he's on, he's got one of the better adjusted ERAs in the league. Chris Sale's a good hurler, like real good. The injury concerns are a big one. There's no doubt about that. But you got a couple of things going. Number one, and Brandon just chimed in and he nailed it. He said extra coach in the pitching room and he can throw every 5 days. Fried, Strider, and Elder can learn from Morton and Sale. That is a big part of it. You're not wrong. Also listen to that lineup. Fried, Strider, Elder, Morton, and Sale. That's a 6-man technically. That's a 6-man rotation that you can deal with if you start adding in some of the other guys. It's going to be a 5-man rotation of Fried, Strider, Elder, Morton, and Sale. And you're going to have guys that are going to be floating around. But I love this rotation. It allows you to have some buffer built in. The second thing it does, and Joey B chimed in. I love our listeners. They're smart people. Joey B said, you see what you have in Sale as a starter. If he doesn't have enough to be a frontline guy, you try to convince him to move to the pen where he could be a filthy closer. That's it as well. If he starts showing signs of fatigue and age at 34, you shorten his assignments. You put him in the pen. You let him come in and close out games. A lot of the Braves' problems this past year had to do not with starting games, but with closing games. He could be that guy, no doubt. But a lot of the other answers have to do with what else is happening in baseball. Sonny Gray is 34 years old. You know what he went for? 3 years, $75 million in a draft pick. Frankie Montas, Jake Flaherty, each coming off 2 straight uninspiring seasons, $16 and $14 million respectively. Who's still out there? Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, Shota Imanaga, Dylan Cease, Corbin Burns, all still out there. And there's a lot of Braves fans who had said, why the hell didn't we go in on those guys? Number one, because what you got out of Chris Sale is a veteran with a ton of experience and success. Some of these other guys have that. Number two, you were able to wrangle him in with a trade that was good for your roster as it stands. And number three, the Red Sox are going to be paying a healthy portion of his salary. Y'all, I looked up those numbers. I want to get too deep into them because I am dumb and bad at the mathing. But Chris Sale is basically pitching for free this year, contract-wise. Cost you Vaughn Grissom. But in trading Vaughn Grissom to Boston and Boston picking up a lot of Sale's salary, because of the way the numbers shake out, Chris Sale's basically not costing the Braves anything. What was the one spot that they needed help with? The one spot they needed help with was starting pitching. They got a frontline starter, and they got it for Vaughn Grissom because Boston's paying the salary. Sonny Gray went for 3 years, $75 million. The other guys are all getting around that same number on one-year contracts. I'm going to tell you right now, Snell, Montgomery, Imanaga, and Dylan Cease, they're all going to be going for probably $18 to $20 million. The Braves right now have locked up their young core, but they had to pay to do it. So there are money moves that have to be made, and I think this is one of them. So then you look at what the Dodgers have done. The Braves were looking at Tyler Glasnow. That's actually the name I wanted the most. I wanted Tyler Glasnow. I wanted Blake Snell, the two guys I wanted in. Big asking price. The Dodgers had to give up 2 highly touted prospects in their farm system. They had to give up Ryan Papillo. They had to give up Johnny DeLuca. They had to absorb $35 million in additional salary obligations. And, oh, by the way, they had to agree to a 4-year, $111.5 million extension for Tyler Glasnow. Do you hear how much they gave up? Glasnow's a better pitcher than Sale. I'm not going to argue that. But the Dodgers had to give up 2 Vaughn Grissoms, a pitcher, an outfielder, take on $33 million in additional salary obligations, and sign Glasnow to a 4-year, $111.5 million extension. This was a price tag decision. Vaughn Grissom was the price. The risk is Sale having an injury. When Chris Sale is healthy, he is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. You are banking on him staying healthy. If he does, the Braves just conducted a masterclass. Joey B said, you know who you get to have that the closer conversation with him? Fellow Cy Young winner turned filthy closer, John Smoltz. That's a great call. It's a great call. I think Glavine still hangs around too, right? So this move to me does not necessarily yield the best pitcher that was available, right? The best pitchers that were available were Glasnow, Snell, Montgomery. I think Chris Sale, when he's healthy, is on par with Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray, 3 years, $75 million, and it cost him a draft pick. Now, draft picks in baseball, not the same as draft picks in football. Hell, not the same as draft picks in NBA. Draft picks are interesting, but it is less about your picks and more about your system, right? It is less about your picks and more about the farm system you build to bring those guys in. So I think this move is phenomenal. I think this move is phenomenal. I think this move is a move that gets you a top 6, top 5 available pitcher, and it costs you a good young player, but I will say a young player that, again, good. We have no idea what he's going to look like as an everyday starter. We don't know if he'll grow into an everyday starter. I suspect he's going to get his opportunity in Boston. Vaughn Grissom had a bat that was getting better. But remember, Vaughn Grissom got plugged into the Braves starting rotation for a handful of games this past year, and he was good. He was fine. He was good. He was fine. So you're taking a gamble here. Here's the gamble. You are gambling that Vaughn Grissom will or will not become an absolute all-star versus Chris Sale will or will not get injured and miss long stretches of the season. If both happen, I think you came out ahead because you matched the need. The Braves needed a frontline starter more than they needed anything else. So if Sale doesn't, it comes down to this. If Sale does not get injured and he's able to go 160 innings over the course of the year or whatever it is, if he's able to give you 160 innings over the course of the season and not get hurt and help you win 100 games and win the NL East and get in a position to have a week off and then compete with the Dodgers, then you win the trade no matter what happens with Vaughn Grissom. If Chris Sale gets hurt and Vaughn Grissom, I don't know who Vaughn Griffin is. Vaughn Grissom does not turn into an all-star. You won the trade because you traded a guy that's banged up for a guy who's not an all-star. The only L here is if Chris Sale does not get hurt and Vaughn Grissom turns into an all-star. But again, that's not even the worst situation for Atlanta, who already sent their entire infield to the all-star game last year. The entire infield. Chris Sale, coming up in the 2023 season, does have, because Zach is asking, does have an opt-out at the end of the year. If he elects not to, actually, he declined the opt-out. He also declined a no-trade clause to go to Atlanta. He wanted to be there. So he's declined his opt-out. The next opt-out is in 2025. When the Braves have the opt-out, his final year on the contract would be 2026. So they got him on a contract for 3 more years. The Braves owe him a base salary of $27.5 this year, $20 next. I know that the Boston Red Sox are picking up a large chunk of that, almost all of it. I think they're picking up like $23.5 million of it. So you're looking at, you basically got him, I said free, you basically got him for $4 million, which for a guy of his stature is basically free. Alex Anthopoulos made a move, and I like it. It's a gamble. Like I said, even if Vaughn Grissom goes to Boston and becomes a stud, your whole infield was already an all-star infield. Yes, you're giving up depth, but there's not, I got to tell you, in today's MLB, there's not a huge reason to keep an all-star middle infielder on the bench when you know that your current all-star middle infielders hopefully aren't going to miss a bunch of time, when you could send them away and get a good frontline pitcher. And get a frontline pitcher for effectively $4 million a year. All these other cats that are getting those spots, are going to be getting the low end, 15 mil plus a year. You're giving this guy less than 4. That works out all right. You got Matt Olson at first. That's an all-star. You got Ozzie Albies at second. That's an all-star. He's backed up by Orlando Arcia. You got Austin Riley at third. That's an all-star. You got Orlando Arcia starting at short. You're good. You got all-stars everywhere. I would rather have Chris Sale opportunity to pick himself up, to get a change of scenery, to get his arm right, and be a frontline guy that I can trust for $160 this year, over having an all-star middle infielder on the bench. Because here's the thing. If you produce 7 runs a game with those guys on average, but your pitching staff has a hole in it, that's what? 45 games that you go into already at a disadvantage. Can't have it. Let's take a break. When we come back, I got a couple more things I want to sprint through before we call it a day with a little what the X is going on. That's all coming up. He's Rob. I'm Lonzo. I know I screwed it up, but at that point I was committed to the bit. I shouldn't have said anything. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. I'm dumb. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Golly.
I thought you covered pretty well, and then you had to explain it.
Panthers owner Dave Tepper $300,000 for tossing a drink at Jaguars fans. That happened towards the end of the game on Sunday. The league called Tepper's conduct unacceptable in a statement released on Tuesday. The reaction came after rookie quarterback Bryce Young threw an interception with less than 3 minutes left in a 26-0 loss to the Jaguars. It wasn't clear whether Tepper was reacting to something said to him or another loss for the NFL's worst team. They won't even have the number 1 pick in the draft after trading.
Porque no los Dios.
The Panthers wrap up the season this Sunday. They host the Buccaneers. Tampa and New Orleans tied at 8-0, battling for the NFC South title. Catch all the action live on Classic Rock 101.1. The Fan Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins basketball play-by-play. Catch the action live right here. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders with the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Vamos a tener...
Is Will Howard any good?
And that means we're going to have so much fun.
Is Will Howard any good?
Quarterback for Kansas State.
Is any good? Yes.
Is he Ohio State good?
Borderline. I would say he could be developed into it. Why is he going to? Is he visiting?
Yeah. Seen several sources saying it.
Kansas State's been good the last couple of years, and he's been a part of it. I would say y'all could develop him into being Ohio State good.
Keep your family or business warm this winter and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or online at Priority Heating and Air HVAC.
After Sunday's win, Mahomes topped 4,000 passing yards for the 6th straight season.
4,000?
That's a lot. 4,000 is a
That
lot.
is a lot.
That sounds like
It's not Drew Brees' constant 5,000, but it's pretty good.
I was going to say it sounds like a record, but I guess it wasn't.
I got into it on Twitter the other day because somebody said that Brock Purdy deserved to be up there with Peyton and Brees. And I said, I'm going to tell you straight up right now, if you put Drew Brees on this San Francisco 49ers team, he'd have 6,000 yards, 80 touchdowns, and win the Super Bowl. Same with Brady, same with Manning.
Kyle McCord left because of the interception he threw at the end of the game against Michigan, and he probably got some backlash for that. I'm just guessing.
Kyle McCord left because after that game, Ryan Day got asked, is he your starter next year? And Ryan was like, we'll see.
I think these kids probably also get word of portal guys possibly coming in.
For sure.
And
I mean, you can't keep anything a secret.
And you might as well go ahead and jump if you think the guy coming in is going to supplant you.
Bingo, bango.
Keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure. Collisions to provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
From the Ingalls Market Studio,
Upstate.
I had to take something from my head, and now I'm immediately a quarterback.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment of the day. Zach would like to know if Ryan Day's seat gets any warmer after that loss to Missouri, Lonzo.
I don't know why he's still there, but I'm just guessing that he's not going anywhere, because if he was, he would already be gone. So
Zach, Lonzo fired Ryan Day 3 weeks ago.
actually, it was a couple of years ago, or
That's
at
fair.
least a year ago. I don't know. It's. I think it was a year ago.
Ryan Day been done gone for a while. I asked Lonzo earlier in the show, if I gave you a little red button, you push it, Ryan Day is gone immediately. If you don't, he gets 2 more years. What are you doing? Lonzo reached across the desk to actually try to push the imaginary button I wasn't holding. That's how sincere he is in this. He ain't playing, man. He wants him gone. Like done, been gone. I don't get it. My man had you in a playoff last year. He's had you in de facto Big Ten championship games for 3 consecutive.
I mean, if you're happy just to be there, I mean, that's fine. I'm not that guy. A lot of other fans are not that guy that's just happy to be there. I'm going to be there and win it. Okay. And if you are not the guy who can do that, you need to bring somebody else in who wants to and realizes, the things they need to do to make it happen.
Yeah, you loser. You loser.
11-2. Man, get out of here with
What
that.
a joke. What a clown. What are we even doing here, Ryan? No, I don't get it either, Zach. I don't get it either. But we'll see. Now, he loses to Michigan again next year. If you're 11-0 next year.
Yeah, but you're going to keep saying that. And next year, it won't be as important because it's 12-team playoff. If you're going into that game and you're both undefeated, you're both going to the playoff.
That's fair. That's fair. That does kind of diminish the rivalry weekend a little bit, doesn't it?
Keegan says, I'll take some of that 11-2.
I bet you would, Aubie. I bet you would, Aubie. I got no doubt. None. Nada. You would. And that is what I have been saying to the great one for
hey, you guys just don't understand. I wish you did.
Yeah, at Ohio State, it just means more.
I wish you did. I wish your programs did this consistently and then you would get what it feels like. But I can't give that to you unless you come over with me. I mean,
like I said, dude, I don't get it. I do not get it. But it ain't mine.
Pull up the U-Haul, hand the pink slip, get him out. Let's go. Yes, that counts.
3.
Yes, that's 3.
We are averaging 1 a day. That's not awful.
No.
Could be worse. Could be better.
No, we've only been here 2 days.
Oh, that's right. We didn't work one day. Oh, you're averaging 1.33 per day.
I'll make it less by not doing any the rest of the week.
I respect that. Good luck. Good luck. All right.
I'm going to call in sick the rest of the week. That way I can't. Yeah.
Can't. Tomorrow you got Fight Club.
I can't do it if I'm sick. I mean,
Will spring football work this time? We found out this weekend that
there's a merger.
The USFL and the XFL have announced their merger. They will form a new spring football league entitled the UFL, the United Football League. And of course, Dwayne is going to be the face of it. Why wouldn't he be? He might be the most famous man in America. The USFL and XFL have formally announced plans to merge and begin play. The combined league, the UFL, will begin play on March 30th of this year. Leadership of the new league will combine the operations of the two former leagues. Russ Brandon, former president and CEO of the XFL, and Daryl Johnston, former USFL president of football operations, will serve in their same roles at UFL. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who helped found the new version of the XFL, is listed amongst investors. We do not know if he will have an official role with the league, but he will know it. See, know your role.
No. I got it. I'm just curious. 2 meh leagues are put together. Does that make them more than meh?
Meh. I mean, you know what it does? Again, and this is what I think we've said from the beginning. What does sports need? You need one of 2 things. You either need heightened drama or a gimmick. Those are the 2 things that make sports go. Actually, let me add a third. You need 3 things. You need heightened drama, you need a gimmick, and you need athletes doing things that normal people can't do.
I really want to watch. I do, but I can't make myself.
So watch.
I can't make myself. I tried. It's like, I'm going to get interested. I'm going to pick a team. I'm going to be a fan of that team. And then by week 2.5, I'm just like, yeah, what else? It's spring. Let me go find something to do outside.
You don't love ball then, Lonzo. That's on you.
Well, I don't know it, so how could I love it?
You do know it. You just choose to pretend you don't for sometimes.
I think that there are places where certain things belong. Football belongs in the winter, in the fall. It doesn't belong in the spring unless it's a spring football game for a college. Again, I want it to be good. I love that there are more avenues for kids to get out there and showcase their talent and maybe get picked up by the NFL, which does happen. We've seen it happen. I mean, that's awesome. But historically, it hasn't worked. That doesn't mean that it won't.
Yeah, but you realize it doesn't work because of you. You're the reason it doesn't work.
Specifically because of me, yes.
Yeah.
You're right. It's all my
you
fault.
you and you people.
Yeah, my ilk.
You people. It don't work because of you people. If you people would just give it a chance, I think you could get into it. Listen, you have to go in.
I lack the desire.
I think you have to go in with
that was a callback to hour one.
I know, I like it.
Okay.
I think you got to have a mindset when you approach it. I think number one, you have to go in knowing, okay, I'm not about to watch NFL quality football. I know I'm not watching NFL quality. I think you got to go in knowing the talent level is not going to be as good. However, for all y'all that have said I'm done with college football because it's no longer about pride and effort, and yet this league is. You know what this league is? It's a feeder league. It's a league full of guys that Lonzo just pointed out adequately.
It's a chance. It's definitely a chance.
It's a bunch of guys rolling the dice with an opportunity to get some tape out there that might get them an invite to a camp in the big show, right? You want to talk about a league where dudes are doing it because they love the game? You want to talk about a league where dudes are doing it to give themselves a chance? This is your league. This is it. So you got to go and know, and I'm not getting the talent that I'm getting, but I am getting twice the heart. I'm getting the guys fighting for their lives in this league. That's going to be good. I think number two that you got to go in is you got to go in looking at this as an NFL primer. It's not NFL football. It's a primer. I am watching a couple of things. I'm watching guys that may be in the league one day, but the other thing, and you got to keep in mind, they've got the partnership with the NFL going. The other thing is they are an experimental league. They are a league where they are testing out new rules, testing out new calls, testing out new thoughts. And as those things happen, you are going to get an opportunity to see them as they are tested, and you are going to get the opportunity to go, that's good or that sucks, with the knowledge that football leagues very frequently make decisions based on what the public is saying. You will be the first to be able to say a thing. A lot of people have said the following things, which are trending on X, and that's why we do this segment.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
So I missed it.
I
missed the segue there. I apologize. All right, the first thing that's Xing today is Fat Joe.
Fat Joe is trending. Fat Joe was big when your boy was in college, and Fat Joe had some good stuff. I did see earlier.
Right about now, right?
He's now Skinny Joe.
Yeah, but here's the reason why he's Xing. It's because Jada Pinkett Smith put out a picture, and people say she looks just like Fat Joe when he got skinny, and that's why she. I mean, she brought all this stuff on herself. She did. I mean, you know, there's just some things you just don't say and expect. Anyway, so that's.
And also, by the way, Funk Soul Brother was Fat Boy Slim, not Fat Joe.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, name a Fat Joe song that I would know.
Right about now.
That's what I just.
Funk Soul. No, that's not Fat Joe.
Okay.
You put it in my head, and I had to go with it. I
well,
gotta tell you, I don't know. He did lean back.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have been out of my phase then. All right, the next thing that's Xing yo is Mickey.
It 100% was out of your face. All right, so
yeah, because
because of what you sent me earlier.
Yeah, because I'm old school when it comes to rap. I mean, NWA and Eazy-E and stuff like that. Yes, but it's trending for a couple of different reasons. Mickey Mouse is now public domain.
No.
Steamboat Willie
version of Mickey Mouse is now public domain. And of course, because the internet is the internet, people are obviously just having a ball photoshopping Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse into public spots.
No. Not only is there a movie coming out and there's a trailer out, but there are also video games.
Yeah. Well, I was getting there. So people are having a wonderful time on the internet photoshopping the Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse.
Which was creepy anyway. I mean,
but it was like 1927.
It doesn't matter. Why was I still creepy?
Everything from the 20s was creepy. All right. So there is also now not only horror movies, because every child's character apparently that enters the public domain, you have to immediately make a slasher horror movie out of them. I think it's hilarious personally, but apparently a very well-known video game company, has now created a horror first-person survival game where Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse is the evil monster trying to eat you, and they used AI to create like Mickey voiceovers. And Lonzo is about to get the fight that he's always wanted to see happening.
Yeah, I am. All right, finally, the last thing that's trending is Vanilla Ice.
Apparently, he performed at Mar-a-Lago on New Year's Eve, which is fine. Except for he did Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go Ninja.
But he did
with
it.
Michelangelo.
Yeah, I was going to say, but he did it with.
They had a whole last Ninja Turtle show up. Go Ninja, Go Ninja, go. Ninja,
Come on. You know you want to see that live.
Ninja, rap. All right, that's going to do it for us. Ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry about my language.
Thank you for hanging out
I'll
with
say
us today.
all the lax out there want to see Ninja Turtles and Vanilla Ice.
It sucks.
Y'all have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow. We got Rashad Beer. We got Emily Adams. We got Fight Club. All on to Thursday, the tomorrow edition, the Thursday edition of the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate later. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 3 years. I had to cut you off. My bad.
It's all good. It's all good.
You'll
figure it out one day.
I still may not have done it fast enough.
No, Disney's lawyers are not on the line because this version of Mickey Mouse is public domain. You can do whatever you want with him.
Just like when he said, like when Winnie the Pooh. By the way, not a good movie. I couldn't make it.
Did you think for a second it was
No. I thought there would be a lot of good slasher movies. They have an okay plot. This was like whatever the opposite of okay is. It was just, okay, they're killing. Why are they killing? Okay, all right, they're aliens. They're not actually. Okay, fine. This is bad. Okay, why would Winnie the Pooh put her on the train tracks? What's his motivation? Just to see how badly someone can get squished. I don't know. I couldn't get past that part.
And this may shock you, didn't watch it.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. I'm willing to watch some pretty bad stuff because I talk about it on the weekends, but it was so bad.
All right, dudes and dudettes, I've got an 11 o'clock appointment, and I have to actually do work today, so I got a jet. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. See you back here tomorrow. If you're not busy, if you got nothing else to do, we'll be here. Play that one, dummy. There we go. Bye.